Welcome to Old Head Young's Minds, episode 9. I'm Robert Penner.
I'm Allison Fine. I sound like a dude.
Yeah.
I hear my voice.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I always sound like a dude, but like I especially sound dude-ish today.
And today we got a special guest. Introduce yourself.
Peace. My name is Christian Paige.
Yeah, so Christian, I'm excited to have Christian on the show today because this is our 9th episode. And Christian's actually the first guest that we have that we don't know very well, right? Like I know Christian from years ago. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but you don't know Christian at all. And so it's like a legit guest, not like a homie guest.
Right.
So,
Right.
That's exciting. But Christian, do you want to like tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, cool. So the first stranger guest is kind of wild.
Yeah.
I'm from Tacoma. I'm an artist. Tacoma's Poet Laureate right now, which feels like it's been a long time running. Most of the things that I do have centered around like education, working with young people. I'm the youngest of 4 brothers and then just my baby sister. So I don't know if y'all believe in like birth order stuff, but I'll tell you something about my personality. But no, man, I have a vision for community, love working with young people, and then try to give back in the same way that, you know, some of the old heads have given back to me.
So you went to high school here and you've lived here your whole life?
Yeah. Spent some back and forth. So on my dad's side, my grandmother's from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
They live in Kansas City.
Okay.
My mom is from like I don't know if you all know the wild history about like the Tacoma Dome and the East Side and all of that business around, but like my mom used to live in like Hawthorne, and y'all familiar with
Hawthorne what?
Hawthorne, like Tacoma, right?
Oh,
and so like
I don't know that area.
So a lot of places, there's a lot of communities that were historically Black communities that an interstate got built through.
Oh, got it.
Right, or a big monument has gotten over,
Yeah.
or an artificial lake has been built. You know what I mean? And so my mom has been like Tacoma since Tacoma, and then her family Tacoma since Tacoma. You know what I mean? And so weird mixture between the two things. Lived mostly in Tacoma, spent summers back and forth, hopped in the van, drove cross country to Midwest. You know what I mean? So
to go see family.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. But most of my life has been centered around here.
Now you, I met you years ago. I don't know how I met you though. I think through maybe like community work for sure. Maybe when I was like running Jesse Johnson's campaign. I feel like maybe through John Gaines. Like I don't know. I don't know how we met, to be honest. But we've been friends on social media for a long time, and I was kind of I'm always interested in what you do because I think that when we think about what artists do, we think about like visual arts, obviously, and then especially within like the hip hop culture or the Black culture, whatever, we think about music or, you know, and so what you do in terms of poetry is one of the more unique, like in terms of art, I think. The unique, I don't know what category. Sorry, it's been a long couple days. But I think what really interests me and what I was excited about is when I saw you announce that you had become the Poet Laureate. So can you explain that? Because we're a bunch of comics. So I know what it means for sure. Like I won poetry contests growing up. I love poetry, but like a lot of people might not know what that means. So can you explain that?
Yeah, you're just the city's representative for that form of art.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a couple of things that I'm like required to perform at. I'll show up at like the State of the City for the mayor, or Hilltop Business Festival is happening on Saturday, or like things of that nature. But really, you're just kind of the storyteller that's connected to the city. If you think about like y'all, man, it's too early to be like historical this, that, or the other. But like there's a term called griot that originates from like you think like West South Africa. Really, it's the person who holds the stories for the village.
Got it.
And so that's the way that I fashion it, right? That's your job. That's what you do.
Got it.
Yeah.
What's like the process to become that?
Man, you just apply.
Oh, really? So
and
there's
then-
an application process. Okay.
Yeah. So you apply. The the person who they call it holding the torch. Person who holds the torch will hold it for 2 years, some 2023 through 2025. But then there'll just be an application process. There's a Tacoma Arts Commission committee comes together. They select who it is. You got to like, here's some written work and here's some video work and here's the community work. And, you know, you mix all of that together and then they select somebody.
That's dope.
Yeah, just so happened to be me this time.
That's dope.
So, like, do you go to like events and then you have to come up with a new poem about the event, or?
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Right.
I'm about to talk spicy early, but like, you know, there's still a flair to who you are. You know what I mean? And so like, there are some places where I think my story might be a little too spicy for the event or the venue. And then it's like, no, let's reel that part back in. You know, but sometimes you have to write for, sometimes it's just bringing stuff that you've done before. Like, you know, you all probably have a set, like, jokes that you would run to. If somebody called you tomorrow, like, yo, on Monday, we got a show at 7. Like, can you run up? You've
Like
never been here before.
Stuff.
Yeah, you keep some stuff in the pocket.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it.
When you say some stuff might be too spicy, explain that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, folks don't want to talk about some of those historical things that have happened here. You know what I mean? Folks definitely right now don't want to talk about gentrification that's happening in the neighborhood.
Right.
They want to talk about people getting pushed past Spanaway and then out to, and like, I don't think, like, why would I talk about it if it doesn't feel authentic to me?
Right.
Like, that's the experience that I'm having, right? So if it's not that, like, I don't want to write a touchy-feely love story about something that I don't have a loving relationship with. And I know that that's not on theme, that's not on brand sometimes, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to go up there and not say anything that's not true to me.
Do you have to like run your material by them before each event?
Typically, no. In the places where I do, I'm not interested in censorship in that way. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are artists, so you know what's up, right? Like, if somebody's, I'm in this situation right now, right, where I'm going to be performing at the Atlantic Fest.
What's that?
It's so like the publication, The Atlantic.
Oh, okay.
It's in Washington, D.C. this year, and I'm kind of having like a little spin on, because my job is to represent the region.
Right.
But some of the parameters are like, you know, we don't want you to talk about this or don't talk about that. And in my heart, I'm just like, yo, I'm going to pull up with whatever comes out of the pen. You know what I mean?
That.
And if
So wait, let me be clear. You're going to the Atlantic Fest in Washington, D.C., but you're going as the Poet Laureate of Tacoma.
Representing the region, yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's not a Christian Paige thing. It's
a Christian Paige thing, but the way that, so the org is like, they support tourism, and so they want people to come to the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
And so, like, to tell a critical story about the space is probably not
got it.
the best way for this to work out. But at the same time, I'm not going to pull up and, again, tell, like, a story that I haven't had a loving relationship with in a loving way. They just don't make sense.
I could see the concern. Like, the reality is if this is about tourism and this is about putting a shiny, you know, glossy coat on the area, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, should that be what we're highlighting, or should it be that you're highlighting the people that are here and the authentic experience? So it sounds like you're about the authentic experience, which I can really appreciate.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's your authentic experience here in Tacoma is something that many cities across the country are experiencing. So someone that's not going to be like, oh my God, that happens in Tacoma, redlining and gentrification, like that's happening all over the U.S.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I'm from the Bay Area originally, and I've talked about, I don't know if I've talked about on this story, maybe I'm on this podcast, maybe I have, but when I went to college, my friends live in East Palo Alto, which is the other side of the freeway from Palo Alto, which is where Stanford is. And it used to be all one area, but the rich white people on the Stanford side in like the late 60s, 70s, I think, forced annexed East Palo Alto to become their own city. Because they're like, we don't want to share our tax base and our money with the black and brown people. And so my homies lived on East Palo Alto. We call it EPA, right? And I'm learning about this while they're living that experience. You go to Palo Alto and it's $1 million houses in Stanford, and you go to literally across the bridge is the hood, right? But even worse than that now, and this, I was in college 20 years ago. Now, none of those people live there because Facebook lives there on the East Palo Alto side, right? So this is your experience here, and your words are probably transcendent, and they're universal.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny that they're like, well, we want you to be pretty and nice and put a little bow on it. And you're like, nah. And I can appreciate that because I think that the everyday person probably needs to hear that what you're experiencing here is no different than what they've probably experienced in their own community. So,
Absolutely.
But then there's pushback, right? And then do you ever worry that if you go that you're going to push past the line and then no longer be welcome in those spaces?
I don't worry about it. And if that happens, like, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Who wants to be invited to a place that, like, they can't be them? You know what I mean?
A lot of people do, I think.
I mean, some people do. That's not in my code. Like, I just can't. And I think I had an experience recently. I'm telling everybody's business today, but we were at an ed conference. We were in California. And, like my whole thing at this time period was like using art to be able to get cultural data to really make decisions.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like young people will tell you something in a poetry slam that they won't tell you in the survey.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like you got generative questions. There's 15 of them, scale of 1 to 5. Like, no, put the babies up. Let them have
Just
a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And so I'm at the conference. It's like all of the superintendents and the fancy people. And the people who were, kind of like running stage were like, they try to tell one of the people who's going to be on my panel. It was a young woman. She's amazing. Her name is V&A. They were like, yo, she can't perform that poem. And I'm like, why not? And she's like, well, it won't sit well with some of the people in the audience. And I'm like, no, we got to run this piece. And I looked at baby girl like, yo, we're running the piece. You're going to like, you might even kick us off. And if anybody has smoke, then they need to just come get, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'll get uninvited to the conference and it's fine. But the people in this room need to hear your story.
Word.
Right? Because in the same way, like if you go to, let me not say the same way, but we're talking similarities. Like I was in Monterey, and Monterey is adjacent to Salinas.
Yep.
And you know exactly when you cross the line. You know what I mean?
The brown people live in Salinas.
Come on.
and the tourists
and the less
rich
brown,
people live in Monterey.
And so we're in Monterey.
Right.
And like the students are from Salinas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not going to bring babies over here. Right. To talk about this and then like not put her on stage to be able to tell her truth.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. And so if I don't get invited back, we just don't get invited back.
Yeah.
But I would hate to miss the moment. And I would hate, especially because I work with young people, to model something that says be quiet when it's time to be loud. And so
I love that.
We just let it be what it is.
No, I love that. And I think before I did comedy, I did politics, and I'm definitely still involved in that world. Now I'm not as much in hardcore politics, but I'm on the Diversity Commission, Federal Way, and I'm the founder of Pride, all kinds of things like that. But I think that's we talk about NIMBYs, right? Not in my backyard. So we talk about it like it's conservatives who are like, I don't want that shelter, near my kid's school, or I don't want that treatment center near, where I live or whatever. But what we don't like talking about is how progressives are the same way. Progressives are like, we need more treatment centers. We need more shelters. We need more all of these things to help these people, which we know we do, because if we want to get people off the streets or we want to get people, in better positions, we need the resources to get them healthy, because conservatives just want to put them in jail. Progressives understand, they need treatment, they need housing, they need support. But then you try and put one of those in Federal Way, and this is, I guess I'm telling the business too.
Yeah.
In Federal Way, we had the county had bought a couple of hotels to put homeless folks in. And even the progressives were like, oh, wait, whoa, it's by my kid's school. Well, you want it or you don't.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot cheaper to take something that's already failing, like these hotels. And this was at the very beginning of the pandemic. And get them in a position where these people could live. We also know when it comes to like drug and alcohol, letting people continue to use drugs at some level is how you can't be like, you can only live there if you're clean, because then nobody will live there.
Nobody live there. Yeah.
So, but all the progressives were, not everybody, not all, but lots of them were like, oh, wait, so they're going to be by my kid's school and they're still going to be able to use their drugs? Well, they're at the fucking bus stop if they're not there. So what are you talking about? But it's the progressives that are part of the problem, but we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the progressives are just caping because they're like, oh, well, we shouldn't put them in jail. Okay. Then we're going to need to put them in the hotel that's 5 minutes from your kid's school. Again, the alternative is they're still at the bus stop, which your kids are also by. So I don't get that. So I love that. Sometimes it feels very performative, right?
Absolutely.
Like we want to do good, but we want to put parameters on it. So what you're experiencing is familiar for me, because that's something I argue about all the time. Like, yeah, I don't want my car broken into. I don't want my daughter who's special needs, who takes the bus to be have to deal with some of the things she deals with on the bus. But I'd rather deal with it if I know that people are getting help. It panned out weird, because then a bunch of Afghanistan refugees came here and we ended up putting them in those hotels and whatever. But it's annoying as someone who really wants to see change, to see the people who are supposed to be my partners in change be like, well, what does that really look like? And them not willing to, compromise with reality. And the reality is sometimes we have to be uncomfortable. And it sounds like that's a similar thing. I can appreciate that you're willing to push the line, though. Probably makes you unpopular in some circles.
It doesn't feel like pushing the line to me. You know what I mean? Like,
but they'll see it as that.
And they might, but I just think it's telling the truth. And it doesn't have to come in like a lot of bravado or a lot of like expletives or whatever. It's just, yo, this happened.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, to your point, like, if people can't see it, they don't think it's occurring, right? Like,
right.
If it's not next to the school, like, nah, folks still exist. They still need help. And so, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see it as pushing the line. I just see it as, like, generating solution, telling the truth.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
But someone who's trying to sugarcoat either the problem or the solution or both is going to be like, that's so uncomfortable. And maybe we don't need to say those words in front of those people. And they're the ones that are going to categorize you as pushing the line.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of times those are the people in power.
Yeah.
So then those are the people who are like, oh, well, we can't have Mr. Paige back next year.
And it's cool.
But
yeah.
I can appreciate that you're committed to the cause, because sometimes doing what's right isn't always what's easy. So
yeah,
I commend you for that.
No, likewise too.
So tired right now. I'm tired.
It's been a long day yesterday.
I'm tired. I'm just like, and not knowing you, I'm like, whoa, when am I going to ask this guy?
So good. The seats recline, bro, if you need it.
They don't.
I think, though, what I was hearing this whole time, I'm a baseball guy, and the home run derby and the All-Star game came to town. And with that same train of thought, if you went a week before the All-Star game and around the stadium, there was nothing but homeless people, and it's prevalent.
Yeah.
It's a problem, but it's a thing. But they sure weren't there when the All-Star game and the home run derby was here in town.
Yeah.
But we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So what kind of things have happened in Tacoma? Like, we're not from here, right?
Yeah.
Me and Robert. So what kind of things do you talk about in your poetry or in your speaking engagements that make people uncomfortable?
Yeah. And I guess this sounds cold when I say it, but like, I don't really know what makes folks uncomfortable because I don't really consider it. What I would imagine.
That's a boss-ass statement, by the way.
You know,
that.
it doesn't even feel like, you know what I mean? I'm not even trying to like be arrogant about it, but like as an artist, you have to do certain things. Like your job as a comedian is not to worry about what's going to be, of sensitivity to the audience, right? Like your job might be to tell the truth in a funny way. And y'all tell me better because I feel like I'm not telling you who you are. Right? Like, but it has to come from who you are as a person.
Right. Well, I'm of a, me personally, I can't speak for Robert. My philosophy on some things, like, I work within the special needs community. My daughter's adopted in special needs. So, like, when people use the R word, I don't think that the R word is ever appropriate.
Yeah, for sure.
Is ever funny, whatever. The other, like, the F word for gay people, right? Like, those are probably the two words that I don't say I would police, but I'm like, why? Why would we ever need to call someone the F word when we're talking about gay people? And when people use the R word, what they mean is dumb or stupid.
Yeah.
Or 5 other words. So why do you need to use that word? Beyond that, and that's my personal philosophy, right?
Absolutely.
Beyond that, and we just ran into this situation recently with a comic. I think you can turn almost anything funny. You know, we had a comic who was very green, who was kind of doing this like reverse look on pedophilia, right? But he's not in any way experienced enough to be funny about it. So it just came off as disgusting. And we're talking about pedophilia, which is not a fun topic, right? But I've seen professional comedians talk about Nazis. I'm Jewish. I mean, you can turn anything funny if you have that skill set. So I think that there are lines to that. But our job as a comedian is to entertain, purely to entertain. There's very few comedians that do really good political comedy, unless you're in a space like, you know, the Daily Show type stuff, right? Where you're actually talking about the news and then adding funny to it. So I think that what we do as comics is a little bit different because when we're at a club, we're just there to entertain. So I think we do have to be mindful of our audience. I work at an Ajaxon's a lot, right? I do well in Ajaxon's because even though I'm white, I grew up in urban communities, I can be funny in that space. There are other comedians that do not have any real connection with the urban community. Yeah. They're funny as shit in Seattle, or they'd be funny as shit in a lot of places. Don't put them in front of 200 people at Nate Jackson's.
No, I feel it.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that we do have to be mindful of our space, but a little bit more than probably what you do. But I do think most topics can be turned funny if you have that skill set. What you do, though, I would imagine is figure out a way to eloquently speak truth, even in the uncomfortable. Yeah. So I think you probably have even more freedom than we do, because your audience is a very different type of audience in those moments, and we're there to make someone happy, right? Like you come to watch a comedy show to laugh. Yeah. And we either did it or we didn't. Where you might make someone laugh, you might make someone cry, you make someone reminisce about love, console them for sadness, or make them face some truths. So I think you have a lot more freedom in that space than even we do. I think that.
No, that's very poignant. You can bring people to all the emotions. You know, yeah, like you said.
We're basically, like, I might say some truth, but if it's not, and I might say something funny, but if it's not funny and applicable, like I'm a little bit, I'm not going to lie, like, I'm going to do the South Sound today, right? So the South Sound Music Festival, it's black. Oh, I think I'm the only white person on on the stage all day, right? Yeah. So I'm definitely doing a diversity hire joke. But like, I'm a little concerned about what I'm going to say to make sure it connects with that audience. Yeah. Because I don't know how the audience will receive me. But I have a goal, and it's just to make them laugh or think that I'm funny or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think you have so much more freedom. I mean, I know it because I write poetry. So you have way more freedom, I think, than we do. Yeah. Because you have a whole breadth of emotion. If I just tell a bunch of sad shit, like I do tell, you probably don't know this, but 5 years ago, I got stabbed by my ex-husband who was mentally ill, and I almost died. I tell a joke about that. It makes people very uncomfortable at the beginning because they talk about being stabbed and almost dying or whatever. If I don't make them laugh at the end, then traumatized everyone for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, thankfully, I think my joke is pretty funny.
I do too.
But
And there's some trauma in mine, and I'm working on telling a joke. I just don't have it figured out yet.
Well, you can just tell the sad story and walk away.
Yeah.
And
you don't need
leave
the punchline.
them with whatever your emotions, leave them to stew in thew own emotions.
No, you might have to make it rhyme or
Some sugar has to be in there somewhere. Yeah.
What?
So I think what we do as comedians is significantly actually different than what you do.
Yeah.
Because I think you have so much more freedom to just lay it out there. And whatever the intent or direction of your art is what it is. Where us, we either did our job or we didn't. And you know when you don't in comedy. Because it's very quiet.
Yeah,
it's very quiet. So, yeah, I think you have a lot more artistic license, which you're lucky because when the goal is always just how many laughs per minute. I mean, that's true. Like when you go to festivals or when you're in competitions, they literally count your laughs per minute. Yeah,
oh, snap.
That's a real thing. Exactly.
That's a real thing. like we're both in a competition. What? That Nate Jackson's.
Yeah, the funniest motherfucker.
And I don't know if they're gonna if that's what they're going for, but that's a lot of.
I don't know if they do it at Nate's, but at The Voice in Tacoma,
The Voice,
they literally count your laughs per minute.
Yeah. You got an LPM. That's wild.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah. It's different, and it's different in the macro, but it's also in the micro, right? Because I'm a storytelling comic.
Yeah.
So I can have an amazing punchline, but if it takes me 90 seconds to get there, I may have 2 laughs in that first 60 seconds, where there's other comics that are just like a laugh every 10. Mm-hmm. It's a style difference, right? So in theory, I'd like to be looked at from our whole set, not just a LPM factor. But we have certain metrics that make people good comics in the industry. You don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Someone can laugh at your poem. Someone can cry at the end of it. Someone could just go away and be like, fuck, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So I think you definitely have a lot more freedom than we do. But so don't be a comic is what I'm saying, Christian.
No, I'm signing up.
It's really fucking hard work. It's a really difficult art form. And it's, a lot of people think, oh, I'm funny. I mean, that's what I did, right? Like, I was like, I'm conversationally funny, so let me try it from the stage. And that worked out for me, and I work hard at it. But it don't work out for everybody.
No, for real.
It don't work. A lot of people are like, I can tell the joke. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go. It's kind of like playing dominoes. You might know how. That doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah. Not the same skill, strategy, all of that.
Absolutely.
Because you all are real rhetoricians. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But we have metrics, and you guys have freedom, I think, in a lot of ways. Apparently, unless you're at a conference where someone's telling you what to say.
Yeah. No, I think in like slam space, right? Or any type of competition that way, or just in the like free world on the internet. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's a lot of artistic license, but I think one of the places that I find myself in often is that intersection between, right, like art and education or art and politics. And I think that that's where the restrictions come from. But like if I'm pulling up to Parable, like, or any of the venues that are here, if I pull up to Nate's on poetry night, like, no, you're right. You know what I mean? It's anything and everything. I've performed poems about like my grandma and scaring white people with an afro in the same set. And it's not, it's not beef. So I feel you. I hear you. Most definitely.
Do you want to kind of explain like different types of poetry and like maybe, and also like how you got into it? How old are you?
I'm 30.
Yeah, I was going to say you're young, right?
Yeah, come on.
I mean, he's our producer over here. Shout out to Stay Hydrated Studios and Nuck Nuck. He's like 52 and he looks like he's 12.
No way.
No, he's not 52. But
I was going to say,
he's
that's
a lot older
crazy.
Than you. He's a lot older than you and he looks extremely young. So. Whatever, white people get old fast. Anyways,
the stereotype is true.
I got a whole joke about that. Like, I got to stay looking young because my friends is black and I got to try and keep up. So it's a whole joke of mine. Like, matter of fact,
like my lady's black and she looks younger than me.
She looks extremely
younger than me, and she's actually a hair older than me.
So you're very young. So tell us like how you got into it and what that was about for you, that journey.
Yeah. it was an interesting one, right? Because so like I grew up here, and you know, like I grew up like down the street from here actually, so not too far from like off of, if people are familiar with geography, like off of the backside of like 96 and Hosmer.
Okay.
Right, and so my mom grew up in the South Point apartments. We grew up just on the other side of what was Bird Park at the time.
That's a tough neighborhood now, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Was that a tough neighborhood then?
I don't know that it was like, it was super tough. Like I think it felt kind of suburban.
Okay.
But like 12 steps in a different direction, you know what I mean? And it was,
It's always been, that's gang affiliated.
there's always that, yeah.
Right?
So you got the cats on 9-6, you got whomever from East Side, you got Hilltop folks. And so my grandmother lived on the Hilltop. And so like dancing in between those communities, you know what I mean, was an interesting thing. I was square as all get out. Like I'm not gonna front like I'm hard. Like
can I ask? Are you multiracial?
Yeah, yep.
What are you?
So my mom is biracial. Her mom is white. Her father is black.
Okay.
And then both of my dad's parents are black.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like okay.
So yeah, I mean, dancing between those neighborhoods. One of the things that became very clear is like what you'd be rewarded for and what you wouldn't be. And like carrying a journal or a diary was not going to be.
And you were square.
One of those things. And I was square, right? Like, so I did my homework. I played hoop. I mean, that was it. And so I had been writing for as long as I could remember and never sharing those things with anyone. You know, it was like a way to process some of the things. And like, you know, I'm so grateful for it because there were like when I felt certain emotions, I could respond with anger and I would be rewarded for that. You know what I mean? Like I got in a fight, you know what I mean? And like, he beat up so-and-so. Like he's hard, you know what I mean? But to have the processing tool, you know, because what that leads to, it's cute when you're 13.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're 21 at Latitude,
You're just angry.
that's booked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a different energy. And so like, I'm grateful that I had it and it was always an outlet, always a form of process. And I think the first time that I thought it was a value, there was like two significant moments. My brother used to take me to like the Washington Patriots football games.
What was that?
High school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like Washington and Franklin Pierce had a big rivalry.
Okay.
But they shared the same stadium. And
That's awkward.
Right, it was weird. You know, low resources. But my oldest brother played football. The brother just under him would go to the games and he would have me like rap Lil Bow Wow lyrics.
Okay.
So the high school girls would come around, right? And so like, I ended up, you know, back in the day before Siri answered your voicemail, like you would do the thing and, hey, it's me, you missed me, right? And so he had me rap on his voicemail.
Okay.
And this is like pre-minutes being free. Like people were calling and asking him to decline,
they could listen to your
so they could
voicemail.
listen to Lil Man rap on the voicemail. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of cold out here. And then my oldest brother like graduates from high school, kind of in that lull in between. And in my house, you know what I mean? Like if it was 18, like, yo, it's been real.
Been nice. It's been good.
It's time to go, right? And so
let me know where to forward your mail.
yeah, it's like either you got a sports scholarship or you're going to the military. Like that's kind of what the thought process was.
Wow.
And so my brother ended up going to the military.
Wait, can I just pause? One parent, two parents, what was that?
Two parents.
Okay, so two parents, hella boys, and your poor little sister.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, not my poor little. My little sister she was a drill sergeant though.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she was like my mom's right hand. And so anytime we got yelled at,
four boys sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But then a girl following up. I mean, okay, cool.
Yeah, dinner was wild.
Okay, so you had a 2-parent household.
Yep.
But they were still like, y'all got to figure it out. Okay, go ahead.
You know,
And
my
then
dad
what?
is real big on like standing on your own. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, so he ends up going, and then we jump right into like the conflict in the Middle East. And so my brother
Your brother's
is
in the middle of that.
18, 19, right? Front line.
Wow.
He's a airplane mechanic. And so anytime something goes down, like, you know what I mean? Like my brother kind of run in and try to fix the joint real quick. Like, and there were multiple times where, and you know, this is like not free long distance, like, you know, you all did the thing, like, all right, everybody say hi to grandma, you know? And so like, we don't get to talk to him much. And every time that I talk to my brother, like there was sorrow in his voice, you know what I mean? Like, talking about crying himself to sleep and like all these things. And so like I would write to my brother and we would write back and forth, and you know what I mean? I think that was the time, you know, it was cool to see people want to give attention to Lil Man on the voicemail. It was different to see my brother emotionally affected by the things that I was writing him. You know what I mean? And so like cool fame, accolades, this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Doper that there's an emotional connection between someone who we're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and he was my hero. Like this is my guy, you know? And so I think those were the springboards. Jumped on stage the first time when I was 18. And whenever I'm like, nah, I won't tell the story like it was just smooth all the time. Like I bombed the first time I went up. Obviously, like that's just kind of what you do.
Yeah.
Didn't go well, got booed off stage, picked myself up, tried again, and landed. And I tell young people all the time, especially if I'm coaching them in this, is like, yo, once you find out that you're a lion, like you can't put that back in the box.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like when you hear yourself, when Simba heard himself roar for the first time, like you can't be like,
good.
no,
No,
I'm something else.
I think
like
that's
that.
similar in comedy. What you were just saying about your brother, that's relatable for me too, because I started comedy at almost 43.
Yeah.
And so not only is it because I work hard, but because I have something to talk about at 43.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rob's in that situation too.
Yeah.
This coming Friday is actually his 1 year anniversary. But like, we're not 19-year-olds out there doing dick jokes because the only thing we know is that we like our dick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we have something to talk about. So when I write a joke about how I was stabbed and my DV or whatever, I have a Rachel FJ. She and her husband are both comedians. They talk about they've had a bunch of miscarriages and all their infertility. When you're talking about something that's relatable, it can be funny, but there's also a heartwarming aspect. I mean, every single time I tell the stabbing joke, someone's like, first of all, they say, did that really happen? I'm like, of course. Why the fuck would I talk about
make
that?
up that?
But the emotional connection to that kind of joke. So similar to what you were saying, like as comics, the best kind of comics are comics that can pull at your heartstrings or what's what the fuck is his name? John, the one that just came out of rehab.
John Mulaney?
Yes. So John Mulaney, his little J, baby J or whatever.
That's a good special.
His most recent special, because he was massively on drugs, like cocaine, had an intervention with all these famous comics, and his whole special that just came out this year is about that. It is hilarious, but if you listen to what he's really talking about, it's fucking tragic. Like he almost died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like famous people came together and said, you are going to die if you don't get better. So, but it's hilarious. Like you're laughing through the whole thing, but you're also like, fuck, that dude went through a lot, and his family and his friends took, such good care of him when they realized he needed that help. So you can tell funny dick jokes.
Yeah.
But are you going to affect people the same way if you're using your vulnerability or your truth or your deeper observations of the world to, in our case, laugh, and for you, whatever emotion you're trying to suss out. So I can appreciate that. But that must have been really hard for you because you also, like you said, access to your brother is limited. So you really don't know what's going on with him. Like you don't know if he'll ever get that letter.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And that's got to be hard for you being home. Was that helpful for you to be able to process your own emotions, missing him and being over here by sending him those letters? Like were those letters to assist him or were they to assist you? Or
It was both.
Both.
It was both for sure. And I think that there's a feeling of like helplessness when you're watching someone else go through something.
for sure.
I don't know if this is y'all's thing, but like I'm a fixer.
I'm a fixer too.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I'm always, and from a young age,
Yeah.
like anytime that I see somebody sad or distraught or something and it doesn't serve me all the time, like especially in relationships, because I'm trying to like
Never.
jump to solution.
Yes.
Like, okay, let's fix it, And I think in that moment of like, in a long moment of helplessness, like we would watch the news and like, 3 people died in and I don't know if one of those 3 shares my last name. You know what I mean? And so
Give me
like,
chills.
yeah, I mean, but it's real.
I get
You know
it.
what I mean? And I'm like 11, you know? And so like, I think writing helped me process the fear in between guessing and then knowing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think it was my like strange attempt at like, I also want to console my brother during this.
Right.
And so both is definitely the answer. And I don't think I knew how much it was for me until like going back to then tell the story when I was older.
And then what had you then pursue like furthering this career that way?
Yeah, I think it was just some of the stuff that I wrote in that like 18 to 22. Like I wrote a poem called What Are You? And like, you know, people would ask the question, especially like I went through a lot of hair iterations in my life. You know what I mean? And then like depending on where I lived and when I lived there, like being racially ambiguous is kind of strange sometimes, you know? And so like I remember writing that poem and then like so many people coming up to me afterward and like telling me their their stories around, you know? And I think one time in particular, like I think this is when I knew, like I don't know if y'all have a moment on you like, yo, this is it. Like I know that I not even like I'm good at this, but like I have a moral responsibility to do something with it. But I performed a poem about like coming out on the other side of like suicide ideation or like a suicide, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like somebody came up to me after the show, just one person, right? Because this is one of the like pieces you take the air out of the room and people are like, oh shit, it's Saturday, like let's go home.
Right.
So I don't know, bros is tripping, you know, like we came out here to have a good time. But there was like a person who came up to me afterward and was like, yo, I had a plan to end my life this weekend. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know how much longer, but like I still want to be breathing. And I'm like, yo, like scribbles in my notebook, 3-minute piece on stage. Like, and I won't take the credit for it. Like, there's a series of, you know, whatever spiritual background you got, a series of things that led that person to that space.
Right.
But like to just answer the call of like, yo, I'm gonna perform this poem. It's gonna feel weird in the room.
Yeah.
But like, you know, potentially save bro's life.
No, I can relate to that. Like, I can appreciate that. Like, I'm an external processor and I don't have a problem processing a lot of shit on social media, right? Before I got stabbed, my husband and I had gotten pregnant. And we were like 6 weeks in. I was almost 40. He was like, let's tell everybody. I was like, that's a bad idea. And he's like, I already did it. Cool. Thanks. And then 10 weeks in, we had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So now we had to undo our happiness with sadness, right? And because I'm a writer, because I used to do a lot of poetry too, but I'm a strong writer, I wrote whatever I said. And it was insane, the amount of women that came out of nowhere that were like, I've had 4 miscarriages and I feel so bad about myself because I feel like I'm the reason we can't have a baby. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or I had 1 kid and I don't know if I'll be able to have another. All these stories, right? Some of it was publicly on my page. Some of it was just direct messages to me. But words are healing.
Absolutely.
You know, words are healing and words are transformational. So I've similar situations. I talk about my DV. I'm very open about my stabbing. I'm very open about a lot of things. And just those similar experiences where like you don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know. Even telling the jokes about difficult things from stage, it's amazing the way that people connect to that. They're like, yo, you're funny, but I was in a DV relationship or I was, you know what I'm saying? And like, we like to sugarcoat everything, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
And so when we're vulnerable and open in those spaces, those of us who are willing to do that, and there's a lot of emotional energy that we expend as the person putting it out there, right? For me, I can't speak for you, but for me, I'm willing to expend that energy if I know it's going to help someone else. If I know someone will be touched by that, if I know someone will be, the normalization of miscarriages that just, I remember, and this is 5 years ago now, just that one post, you know, and people that I've known for my whole lives that have never told me that they had miscarriages or, you know, people have had to have abortions for various reasons, and just having those conversations is healing. But we, the person who sort of initiated that, our emotions take a toll. It's secondary trauma, especially when now we have 15 people sending us their story too.
Absolutely.
And you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
But for me, I'm willing to continue to be that person because there's much fewer of us, right? You and I willing to do that than there is. There's much fewer of us that are willing to put it out there, but we are the people that heal.
Absolutely.
In our own ways. So I think that's a really beautiful way of explaining why it's so important to be that way. But for me, I know there's a lot of emotional energy that gets taken having to put my whole life out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then there's always haters that are like, why do you always got to talk about whatever? And it's like, I don't worry about them.
That's equivalent to what you like asked earlier, right? Like, you know, what kind of stuff do you say that makes people uncomfortable? And I told you, like, I just don't consider that. Like, I think that's the equivalent is like, also don't check the comments section, you know, when a piece of art gets posted.
Yeah.
You know, because those people show up. And I think that's tragic. Like what you're naming, like that's a lot of energy that you're expelling. And then to come into a place and then defend, like your trauma is crazy too, right?
Right.
You ain't here mad at me for sharing something that was close to heart, that healed other people, that helped me heal.
Right.
And now you're criticizing the...
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in comedy, when I started comedy, I started the Open Mic Collective. That's the barbecue we had yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a few comics. We're kind of an evolving group all the time, but we run like 14 mics a month. And I had haters because, who are you? You know, this is not what they say. This is their general attitude. Like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Why do you think you can do a thing like this? I'm like, all I'm doing is creating space for other people to do their art.
Yeah.
I'm not centering myself. I'm not the 20-minute feature every time. I've literally in over a year and a half, I've done one 20-minute set in all of our mics that we do every month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't center myself in that. I created that so I got more stage time for sure because it's all based in the South End and I live in Federal Way. But I created for the community. But there were people that were like, "Oh, how dare you?"
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, what is actually wrong with what I did? What is actually bad? Haters are just, they find a way to hate in like the most weird, unique ways.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, how miserable are you at your life? Just don't come to my fucking mic. Or are you mad because you didn't think about it? Oh, well, fuck off. Like, that's my attitude about things. I don't want to bring gender into this, but being a woman, it feels like it's so much easier to just trash us. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, when I fight back, I'm a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hear you.
When you fight back, you're standing your ground.
Yeah.
In some communities, right? And in some communities, you're black, so how dare you, right? Like, there's so many nuances to that. But as a woman, I'm just a bitch if I say something back, or if I'm just like, what the fuck is your problem? I have to be like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm not that person, so that doesn't happen very often. But your story is so interesting. Do you have a real job?
I did.
Like a 9 to 5?
Yeah. So I worked in education most of my career.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like
What level?
K-12. I did it all, man. I did higher ed first. Because everything was centered around impact, right? I was the save the world kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like was first generation to college.
Oh, okay.
Ended up winning like a full ride, full need scholarship.
Where'd you go?
I went to Trinity Lutheran College.
Is that local?
Exactly. No.
Exactly.
So it used to be Lutheran Bible Institute in Issaquah,
Oh, okay.
which was way out of like nowhere.
So it's a small private university?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they did the whole like urban campus thing. You know
Okay.
what I'm talking about? And so they found themselves in downtown Everett. Went to school there, did all 4 years there. They ran into some weird stuff, and then the college got dissolved, and it's basically been absorbed by PLU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is your degree in?
So my degree is in visual communication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like thought I was going into business, marketing,
Got
like
it.
all of this stuff. And just they didn't end up there. right? So like my homies and I like started a nonprofit while we were still in college. I was like you all have seen the tokenization of like, you got the one kid who gets pulled out of class all the time for the photo shoots.
Right.
And so like, I'm on the front of the brochures and I'm going to all the admission stuff. But what was cool about it was like, I got to come home and people who didn't think that like college was a thing for them or that they could attain it or it cost too much money, like we were able to pull strings and like land a lot of people with a 4-year degree that might not have been able to get it.
Okay. So your journey opened up other doors for other people.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to laugh, but what you just said about being pulled out for the photo ops. So there's a comedian in Seattle. His name's Haynes Steven. He talks about being racially ambiguous because he's black and white and he looks Mexican. And he literally has a joke where he says, I look like I should be on the front of a college brochure. And you're that kid.
I was. I had the juicy, like, flat top little curl, too.
That's hilarious because that's one of his jokes. He's like, I look like I'm the type of kid who should be on the front of a college brochure. I think he says something like, playing Frisbee with a girl with purple hair or something. And you're literally that kid. That's great. Well, and it's funny you say that because that's why I asked you, and I hope that was okay that I asked you, culturally, like, what your makeup was because you're black and white, but, like, our producer, who no one ever sees because he's not on camera, but he's black and Filipino, right? Is that right?
Korean.
Okay. But you guys look like you guys could be related, right? Like racially ambiguous people. Like white people just look white, right? Like we're German or we're Irish or unless you're like Norwegian, I guess, and you're like see-through. But, you know, I just think that's funny, that racially ambiguous piece. And then you get tokenized because you're like, everyone can go here. Look at this kid. And we don't even know what he is.
Yeah.
Well, I think you said that was funny about you when you said your hair journey too, because when I saw you starting to grow dreads, I was like, oh, okay. Because when I met you didn't have them. So that's a transformative piece that also speaks to like where you're choosing to sit within your culture and your representation of that. So that's probably very intentional for you.
Yeah, because it's weird, right? Because like, you know, I've always been kind of some of this, some of that, like, and navigating the world. But living in the Pacific Northwest, I was black. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's just
you're always gonna be black no matter what.
You know, like that's just that's how it was. But like, you know, I would leave in like I performed in Atlanta one time, and then like black folks are looking at me like bro, you.
They didn't know
you kind of black, but you know what I mean? Yeah. So like regionally it was interesting. No, they just, you know.
Made you feel uncomfortable?
Not even made me feel uncomfortable. Okay. It was just, you know, like they weren't as sure as white people were sure that I was black.
Got it, of course.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like being out here, like, no, like it's,
right.
I've never not been. But regionally in different parts of the world, like that's
interesting.
Yeah. When I was in Miami, everybody thought that I was Puerto Rican.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like all the people on the billboards, I had a big curly afro at the time.
Got it.
They sold Cantu and travel size packs at Target. I was like, this is crazy. Right? Like stuff just matched up. But that's been a really interesting journey just in different parts of just the United States by itself of like what that looks like. But now I think like having locks, like walking around looking like that, I think that there are less questions.
Yeah.
Because people have associated this with like black folks, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it's it's been wild.
Did you understand that reference? You know what Cantu is? It's a black.
That's what I don't.
It's black hair product.
Is it hair product? Okay.
Right.
Oh, it's
so you're saying it's
I'm
like in travel size. So in black
it-
communities, they're serving those people, but they act like in our community we don't have those same people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have Cantu at my house right now because a comic left it there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just in some communities they are serving businesses and services serve their communities better. And that's the example that you gave. So I think that was funny, actually. I understood it, but I was like, I don't know if Rob understands that reference. It's just like it's a line of products.
Like a line of products. Oh,
yeah,
it's line, like grease and
yeah, exactly.
whatnot,
but I had
for her.
a comic from Portland who left. It's like the stuff he left is like for curling, and I actually use it in my hair sometimes because it keeps my hair curly.
It's fire.
But selling it in travel size, that's trying to serve their community more effectively.
Yeah, in travel size and in Target.
Oh, right.
It's crazy because, you know, like out here, you would have to go to, you know, we're right here, like off of 84th, there's a beauty supply store.
Right,
so on
full
the
of black
corner,
folks, yeah.
you know what I mean? Or you getting, you know, at the B&I, like, was a place where you could catch it. But like if it was in a regular store, like it would be in the ethnic aisle.
Right.
You know what I mean? In Miami, it was just like Tresemme, Candy, like all of the stuff was lined up in the same spot.
Right.
And so like regionally, like people just, like race is different in a lot of places. Still the like spectrum, I think, stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like your proximity to whiteness is often, you know, anyway, this ain't your critical race theory course, but you know what I mean? Like but like people treat it differently based on where you go. So
we were talking about your day job. So you don't have one now?
No.
So
my
what are you
last
doing
job,
now?
I worked for the city. I was working for the public utility. So power, water, rail.
Okay.
And I was teaching students about, you know, where the power and electricity comes from, about apprenticeships and internships.
Dope.
So same energy, right? Of like, save the world kid, trying to get people into college. It's the same thing, right? Like, so like take advantage of these trades because there's some people out here who are linemen who make $140,000
all
a
the
year,
time, yeah.
right? With full benefits
I'm
and
like,
all that.
don't
It's
go
like,
to college. Go into a trade school.
I'm a tradesman, so
Come on.
Yeah. So like I know that, especially up here in the Northwest, the unions are a lot more stronger than in Texas. So I'm a big
We are
union
such a
dude.
pro-union state.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
left the state of Washington after 10 years, but I'm very pro-union.
Yeah.
So, and one of the reasons I left is because I was unhappy at the way they were, my work was treating me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were treating me bad because I did a lot of union work and I was unafraid to speak up, you know, about a lot of things. So, so I'm very pro-union. And I love when there's programs that talk about how college is not everyone's path.
Yeah.
And in reality, you can generally make so much more money if you don't go to college, if you go to the right trade or whatever.
Yeah, fine. I mean, I got in the trades late. I got in trades at like 27, and that's the only part I regret. That's the only part I regret.
Yeah.
Those 9 years or whatever, from 18 to 27, that I wasn't doing it.
I love, I'm really glad that you agreed to come on this because I wish I could remember where and how we met, but I always knew I was drawn to you. I was like, something about that kid, and I don't say kid, and if I hope it doesn't offend you,
all
but
good.
I could be your mother if I was, like, I'm almost 45, right? So in theory, I remember like always being drawn to you and your personality and always paying attention to like what you're doing online, things like that. But listening to you now and having, you know, being able to have this kind of a conversation, I'm a fixer. I'm a heal the world, or like I'm an empath, and you are too, I'm sure. So like now I see why. Like I always thought like that he's special, you know, and it all makes sense for me now. So I'm really glad that you're here.
I appreciate it. And I thank you all for having me.
Do you want to do some poetry? Can you?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, of course.
That's weird. So look,
Is it weird? If it's
not
weird, don't do it.
No, I'll do it. I was watching this Vince Staples interview. Do you know who Vince Staples is?
Yeah.
Northside Long Beach. Shout out Vince Staples. He's like one of the coldest, just humans on the planet, like his perspective and things like that. But he was on a podcast and he was like, "Yo, I'm not doing anything in here that y'all wouldn't ask Taylor Swift to do."
I would definitely ask Taylor Swift to sing with me.
No, they were asking him to freestyle. He said, "Man, I'm pushing an album with 12 songs, and you want me to spit a 16?" He just had me rolling, and so.
I mean, if you don't want to, we can always. I mean, we can put links to wherever. You know what I'm saying?
It's cool. I watched it this morning, so it had me rolling. I'm not bringing the same energy because I think any opportunity to share is a dope opportunity to share, right? And I think like some of the stuff that we've been talking about, like, is in alignment with this poem. You know, so like that journey about being racially ambiguous, like the hair journey around, and then like something that you would say in a space that might make people uncomfortable. Like the first line of this poem, like I often see eyebrows raised in the room. But it's about my hair. And I think it was the moment that I knew I was going to quit my job. Of like, I don't know if you all have had this experience before, but like when you work in, I know you have worked in social services, right?
My whole life.
And like, you know, you pull up in all the beauty that you bring with art on your arms and right. And there's some people who might look at you and tell you that you're unprofessional. You know what I mean? And like,
I come from California, and actually when I moved here, I was concerned. I asked my friend who was moving to be closer to her, I was like, what about the tattoos behind my ears? I didn't have any of these sleeves I got here. You know what I'm saying? She was like, bitch, it's the Pacific Northwest. Nobody cares, right? But now that I'm older, I'm concerned, like, if I were to move somewhere else, would I, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But instead I was like, fuck it. And like I had tattoos on my hands, 3 weeks ago. So I was like, whatever. But yes, those are always thoughts that I have. So.
And I think that they've not haunted me per se, but like have always kind of existed. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, I pull up with like an afro that touches my shoulders in a boardroom. And like, that's regular to me.
But you're friends with Aaron Jones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Aaron Jones is like sister, right? She's like my sister. So I think that's one of the times where I saw you and I was like, I know I like that kid. Because Aaron and I are super close, right?
Yeah.
And Aaron lives in that space, right? Aaron is a former educator and she's just, you can't,
She's just a neighborhood superhero.
Yeah, you can't really describe Erin. She's just phenomenal as a human. But Erin is like 6'2". She's black. Well, she's mixed race, but she was raised by a white family in Europe. And so she just has this varied background. But she has a huge afro, and like that's her signature. But she talks a lot about it because she's huge. She's so tall, and the afro. But she talks a lot about it because it is a huge part of her identity. But it's also, I think, not anymore, but for a long time, a huge part of her unease.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I know it took a long time to be comfortable in that space with herself for many reasons. And so, yes. So yes, Erin talks a lot about that in her hair. And that's why she's like, I'm never cutting this shit. Fuck that.
No, for real.
But it becomes a spectacle. She can't go in public places because of that. Because even if people don't know who Aaron Jones is, people always want to talk to her. They always want to have a conversation. And she's so tall. Did you play basketball? All of these things. Okay. So she's tall and the afro. And right now the afro is like maroon and like, you know. But it makes her life difficult because she is, so many eyes are drawn to her, whether they know her or not. And so we actually just had lunch like 2 weeks ago and she's just like, she's been in one of my shows very early on, but she's actually coming to one of my shows next week, I think. And she's just like, I just don't go out unless I have to sometimes because the emotional energy expense is a lot because no matter where she's at, she can't just blend in.
Got it.
So, okay, let's talk about
this is the piece, right? Like, I think that's like perfect precursor. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Erin Jones.
Yeah, shout out Erin. Shout out the queen. But the poem would read, see, my hair is a blue eye magnet. A composition of 4 C Can2 coils that consistently conjures confused compliments and common sense should tell you. But before you ask, no, you can't touch it. See, my deep conditioned consciousness complicates the common narrative, and I've concluded that most folks ain't used to this kind of beautiful. Not used to bounce being added to my bold. Not used to my free-flowing follicles following Frederick Douglass abolishing your broken laws of professionalism, so you must not be used to seeing us like this. Not used to us acknowledging our roots while acknowledging our roots. Not used to us being locked up without being locked up. No, see, you're used to watching us cut ourselves down. Asking our sisters to relax so that you can feel comfortable. Asking us to taper and assimilate, fade and become second rate, stay in line and lay low and don't you go against the grain. But if you knew us, then you'd know that that's a formula for making waves, because that's what we do, isn't it? Make the most out of most situations. Architects of the artful sense. Alchemist of taking oppression and creating ascension. I guess that's why my hair always stood up. Why I wasn't afraid to take up space. Where my strands tangle themselves together in solidarity, it's in my DNA. Written in the fabric of my being, but it took me years to understand that this was a crown and that I was a king. See, my new growth became new growth. Making me stand like I was 8 inches taller. Giving me strength like Samson, dodging Delilah's on the road to my queen, protecting my crown. Not letting colonial fingers cause friction, cause baby, if you put raisins in your macaroni, then you're not allowed in this kitchen. I'm unable to be compared. Foolish mind to fashion my fro into comparable fiction. They say, do you know who you look like? And I respond with conviction. If it's not a revolutionary, then don't finish your sentence. I stand unbothered, unconcerned, unapologetic, and unfazed. I took a lesson from Toni Morrison and ignored the white gaze. See, I'll be black, bold, and beautiful for the rest of my days, wearing my crown out in public, celebrating the way that I was made. See, my new growth continues to bring new growth. Choosing to be me, even if it splits ends, I remind myself that I'm royal. Pull up in your spot smelling like coconuts and castor oil with my eco style aiding my ethos and style. I smile when I realize the blue eyes making a beeline, because this time I know they see me seeing myself as a king, and they better get used to seeing me like this.
Wow.
That's what's up.
That was good.
I love it. I love it. The reason I brought up Erin Jones before was because she talks a lot about people touching her hair
Absolutely.
and people coming, and I'm just like, it's 2023. White people are so dumb. I am white people, but that's a theme for me.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Like, why? And I have similar experiences now with these tattoos. People come up and literally, this is a Lauryn Hill lyric. People will literally come up and grab my hand to read it, and I'm like, why the fuck are you touching me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's weird.
Without asking?
Yeah. It's weird.
No, yeah. Ask maybe.
Like, it's weird. Ask me what it says. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I don't know why people feel so entitled to other people's space. And that y'all should go listen to that like 3 more times to really listen to that.
Yeah, that's some good lines in that. I'm gonna go. Once this comes out, I'm gonna like listen to this over. Like I'm gonna probably clip it out.
Yeah,
just
that was
to
dope.
save it.
We actually should clip that and just put that as. Yeah, that's really dope. That's such powerful stuff. Do you write stuff for fun? Like stuff that's not as deep and like playful or funny or.
Yeah, I mean, I think just by nature of who I am, and this is the point that I was making earlier, like, I think there's always going to be an underlying current that's deep.
Okay.
Right? But, like, there's some stuff that's just about, like, holding my son in the morning, you know what I mean? Or, like, like, jokes that my daughter tells me. Like,
oh, God.
you know, the other day. Like,
she's 3, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reminded. Yeah, okay, so we had to cut you off. Well, we had a barbecue yesterday, and one of the local comics, Marcus Spriggs, is so great. He tells a joke about his daughter telling a joke, and he's been using it as his closer lately.
Which I thought was just him making a joke. But he brought his daughter to the barbecue. And I'll show you the video when we're done. Because she came up, she's 3. When she came and did her joke.
And she did another one.
She's like, I write my own jokes too. Like,
She's cold.
And it was the joke that he tells. I was like, I didn't realize that was real. It was great. So, kids are great.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what else do you write about?
I mean, and I don't want to say this, but like literally anything.
Yeah.
And I think the rule of thumb that I operate on is the more specific the experience, the more universal it becomes to the audience.
Got it.
You know, so it's been times where I write about like opening the door for somebody and they don't say thank you.
Ooh.
And I'm like, bro, who raised you? Like, why? You know what I mean?
I think
that's a beast.
Oh, that's so prevalent up here.
That's just a big issue. I'll be like, you're welcome.
I hate that as a man from Texas.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know if it was something ingrained in me. I didn't gain every manners, you know, but that's one thing. It just, the Seattle freeze, that, you know, not saying thank you, not, oh God, it just gets on my nerves.
I think that is a similarity. We were talking about, you know, this was unintentional, but we've been talking about like comedy versus poetry and the similarity in the art forms. That is something similar. That's why I'm good at comedy so fast.
Yep.
Because I write about very universal things. Mm-hmm. I am queer, so I do well in front of queer audiences. I do well in front of urban audiences because I grew up in urban communities. I do good in front of soccer moms. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of this stuff, I know which jokes work in front of which people.
Yeah.
But a lot of jokes work in front of all 3 because they are relatable topics.
Right.
Again, I'm not just talking about my dick, you know? And so that is a very big similarity. Your poetry resonates bigger when it's universal. And the same thing with comedy. If you have something that is relatable. I sell merch at my shows, and right now my merch is about a joke I wrote about my mom beating me with a wooden spoon. Mm-hmm. Hey, that gay, straight, black, white, brown. If it wasn't a wooden spoon, it was a chancla, it was a switch, it was whatever. But a lot of people, it was the wooden spoon across all races and socioeconomic boundaries, right? That merch sells because it's relatable. So similar with poetry. When you write something specific about you or your experience, the more you can make it universal, the more people are like, yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's a beautiful thing. One of my questions originally when I was thinking about asking was like, what inspires you? But like we've talked so much about that, just with, weave that into the conversation. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
No, nothing in particular.
I feel like this could be a 5-hour. Like,
yeah,
you're so interesting.
we could be here forever. And you all are dope, right? Like, it feels mad comfortable. But I think on the inspiration thing, like, I don't think that there's a person in particular. I watch for this moment, and I don't know, like, there are people who are like, there's a moment where they just feel like they're being them. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the times in the world, like, we got to hold a mask or fit into or assimilate into. And like, when there's a comic who's on stage who's just having fun.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I think about, and I don't know how you all feel about where this person lands in your spectrum of okay or not okay, because he has some questionable jokes, right? But like, Mike Epps is like, the uncle at the barbecue.
Oh, for sure.
And he's, there's no, and there might be a plan too. He might have but like there's some times where he's on stage where you're like, yo, this is 20 minutes of made up content. And he just up there having fun. And I think anybody who can do that in whatever art form they're in, whether it be music, whether it be poetry, like there's oh man, this is corny, but if you've ever seen the movie Soul,
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And there's a moment like where a jazz pianist just is lost in whatever it is that they're doing.
That's a really deep cartoon.
It is. I was like, yo, this is it's too much. But like, that is, I think, the moment that inspires me. And I'll run that on repeat. If it's one song, if it's whatever.
My favorite time is a comic. I actually just had one of them Thursday. I was at Laughs in North Seattle, and I was they do like a showcase on Wednesday and Thursday. And so usually I do 2 or 3 of those a month. And luckily, they often ask me to host, right? So that was one of those really hot days, Thursday. And so that it's in the university district. So a lot of times it's very young. And this audience was young. Mm-hmm. So like my opening jokes, I'm always nervous about when they're young, because Seattle doesn't always get me. Young people don't always get me. They're like, oh, whose mom is this up here? Because my kid's actually older than most of them. But very young audience, 4 white dudes and like one, I think he was maybe Indian dude, right in the front row, very intimidating. Like this whole frat house was there. And I was like, all right, let's see how we do. Half of my set was not even jokes. It was riffing. And I started with like, it's really, the weather, man. Like, I was like, did your air conditioning in your building go out and you guys all decided to come to the club, right? And they love that shit. But I did at least 4 minutes of just riffing with these kids. I talked about how as a big girl, I get moist. And I was like, and I said moist like 7 times, right? Which makes people uncomfortable. And I was just like, and then I started talking about being a big girl. And I told all those white boys, I was like, you guys might as well just start liking big bitches now. Cause they're all big bitches later on. Trust me. Like, and that is my happy space. That is why like Matt Rife does well. He was, I don't know, on his tour, he's getting a lot of feedback because he has to actually do jokes. Matt Rife, are you familiar with Matt Rife? That stone chisel white boy. But Nate Jackson's blowing up right now. Not because of his jokes, but because of his crowd work.
Absolutely.
Nate Jackson has a section that people pay extra for now just to sit in like what I call the splash zone. Yeah. People don't want to sit up there. They don't want to be talked about, but now they do. But that for me is my happy space. It's just being able to interact with the audience and have fun. That's not planned jokes. Yeah. And that's what you're talking about. Like Mike Epps, when he's just fucking with people, when he's just in that moment and not some of that stuff is more planned than you realize. Yeah. Right? A pro like Mike or Cat Williams, like a lot of their stuff is formulated jokes, but they make it look so natural because they've done it forever. But for me, even as a new comic, my happy space is just fucking with people, just talking to them, just being in the moment. And that's not something that I'll recreate ever again.
Yeah.
Like that particular moment can't be recreated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where you could tell a joke in 50 different places and get different reactions, or tell a poem over and over and get similar or different reactions. But those momentary things is powerful shit.
Yeah.
So even like this, you know what I'm saying? Having conversations like this, we'll never have a guest like you again. You know, we can have another poet. Doesn't mean it's going to have the same impact, right? So let's see. Did you have any questions for us?
I did. No, so I'm curious about like, and I hate to start with, no, I don't hate to start with this because I'm interested. But I think one of the things that prevents people from like chasing their dreams is like I think anything worth doing is worth doing poorly at first. And so I'm curious about like, when you first got on stage, like what was that experience like? And then what did you tell yourself to get back on stage after the first time you bombed? Maybe you've never bombed before.
No,
I should have thought about that.
I bombed a lot. Okay, I have had the passion for a long time, and I'm 47, or I'm 47. I started when I'm 40.
Old.
Yeah, I'm old, and I started a year ago, so I was 46 then, and so the passion drives me more than that I'm willing to bomb whatever and work through those bad moments to get to the ultimate moment. What was the other part you were saying? Like,
what did you tell yourself after the first time you bombed to get back on stage the next time?
I mean, just get better. It was a bad. Us comics, we say I was just a bad crowd. That's what we always say. But we know more that that's a bad joke. Sometimes it's a bad joke, or sometimes the joke just needs a little more fucking work. And yeah. What else?
I mean, for me, I was coming out of politics and stuff. I needed to change. I've always been conversationally funny. So I've thought about doing comedy for a while, but I really didn't think I had the guts to do it. So first time I ever did it, my mom was there. I'm from Cali. My mom was up here. I don't remember much of what I said, except my closing joke was about my mom. Actually, it was shouting at my mom being in the room. Mm-hmm. I had already said it was my first time. And then I was like, and it was at Nate's, and I said, I'm going to let y'all in on something about white people. Like, I know y'all think that we get like cars and houses and, inheritances when our parents die. I'm going to get left with a big ass Mickey Mouse collection. And my mom was like, she sure will. Like, that was just that little moment in the end. It was so fun. And my dad's been gone for a long time. He passed away, in 2011. And my mom and I didn't have a great relationship. When I got stabbed, she slept next to me in Harborview for 35 days. And then for months after that at home and stuff like that. So our relationship has shifted. I didn't tell anybody I wanted to do comedy. And I barely was even posting that I was just going to like go into open mic night. Because I was watching for like 4 months. So my mom being there the first time, that one little moment at the end that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And we'll probably tell at her funeral, that kind of hooked me and was like, oh, I might actually be good at this. And then I took the class, and then like the hustler in me / the community person in me said, okay, how do I make this space to get more time for myself, to get more time for, that's when I created the Open Mic Collective. How dare I? I started producing shows in Federal Way right away, which kind of fizzled out because of the location, but people were just like, how dare she? And I'm like, Federal Way doesn't have a lot of entertainment. Why not bring that to my own neighborhood? And so all of that inspired me to keep going. I don't really look at myself as, I know when I had a bad set. I've never, and this is not ego, but I've never had a complete bomb where like nothing landed at all. Because what I lack in joke structure still, I make up for in energy and personality, right? So I can always just cap on someone in the audience or whatever, and that starts me off well. So I've never had a complete bomb, but I've definitely had sets where I'm like, oh, that was trash. At open mics, and that's what they're for. But I think I've been able to rationalize that's what they're for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not always going to hit. And that's why you put in the work. And I think I also know that I put in the work, so it will pay off at the end. And that's kind of what kept me going, and will continue to keep me going. I mean, I've had a lot of opportunities, a lot more opportunities than people that are 2 years in. I'm not even 2 years in. I'll be 2 years in next month. Yeah. But my hard work is paying off. And for someone who, like you, is about serving the community and wanting to fix the world and fix everybody else, this is honestly, Christian, the first time I've ever felt like I did something for me. So even though I started the collective for everybody else and I do things for people all the time for other people, this is about me, period. I don't have to run the collective. We don't have to have those mics. There's plenty of mics I can go to if I wanted to and just let it just go up, do my time and leave. But that's in addition to. It's not the original. It's not like running a campaign where it was centered around Jesse or it was centered around whoever. This is just for me. And that motivates me to keep going. And it's paying off. I've had some amazing opportunities. I'm going to Canada with the biggest Black comedian in Canada in November. And I just met a dude from San Antonio. He owns the first Black club in San Antonio. He was here last week visiting. I gave him like all these places to go. He came to one of our mics. I wasn't even there because we were at a different show. He's like, come down to San Antonio. I'll run you for a weekend.
Come on.
That's my hustle. Yeah. That's my wanting to take care of this man and saying, if he's not from here, he doesn't know shit. Let me give him some tips and tricks. And in turn, I literally have a text from him and he said, we need more people in the community like you. Because I saw somebody from out of town. He's a 20-year comedian, but he's like, I run my own club. Plus I booked these other 5 shows. He just asked me to partner with him on bringing his tour out here. Like, so it started with a good night. I don't know if I didn't have a good night that night, if I would have kept doing it, but it started with a good night when my mom was there and it was and then when I have bad nights, I'm like, in any entertainment, any reasonable person within entertainment, and there's a lot of unreasonable ones, will tell you, you're going to get more no's than yeses, right? You're going to bomb in comedy. You're going to have nights that you're like, 2 jokes hit, 7 didn't. Fuck my life. Yeah. I don't blame the audience. What I will do is observe. And sometimes you go to a show and they're not laughing for anybody. Yeah. And you're like, okay, well, the audience is just not, they're in a weird space today. I'm not blaming them. I'm just like, why the fuck are you here? But I don't know. It's complicated because there's also no one motivating you, right? There's no comic laureate of Tacoma. We should start with. I don't know. There should be. Well, I'm gonna ask Featherweight. Can we have a comic laureate of Featherweight?
Let me answer. I didn't get to do like the beginning part. Allison technically helped me get in at first, and I started a class at last. But my first mic was at Waterland, which I'm getting to host that mic this Thursday, and it's going to be the last time we do a mic there. Anyways, I went up. I have a video of my set. I was dating a girl at the time. We were still dating. I don't think we were official, boyfriend girl. And Juan Forno, shout out to Juan Forno, was headlining. He told me I had big dick energy and or whatever, and just pumped up my head a little bit. And then through the class at Laughs, went and they did a showcase at the end, right? And so there's like 20 comics. We all got 5 minutes. And according to this one, I was like at least 3rd best. So she was pumping up my head or whatever. And it was a hook. I say it to other comics, it's like a drug.
It is.
It's a big drug.
I'm sure you understand that.
Right. It can get you high. In fact, like Thursday, I got to feature for Rachel FJ, and probably one of my best sets ever. And I couldn't sleep. Yeah. Went home and couldn't sleep. And was where I'm on a job where I'm working like 10-hour days. Went and did a mic. Slept 4 hours, went back to work on Friday, and it was like, yeah.
Well, and Thursday is when I was at Laughs. No, Wednesday. whatever. Whenever I was at Laughs and did that good set, not only did I feel good with the audience, I got off stage and Seattle has a Seattle International Comedy Competition, which comedy competitions used to have a lot more prestige, I think, than they do now because now we have the internet. But and this one is like 40 years old and has only had 2 women win it, but it's still important, right? And Taylor Clark, who is an amazing comic, one of the best in the Pacific Northwest, also an amazing human and very kind. He's in the back because he's just doing a set on the showcase. And I come off the stage and he was like, that was a fucking great host set. So not only did the audience like it, we always say like, good set. Oh, I don't because I'm an asshole. But like lots of people are like, good set, regardless. They didn't even hear. They were in the bathroom, but they, you know, good set. I don't because I'm more authentic than that. But when someone like Taylor Clark is like, that was fucking amazing. Like you were so funny up there. And that is what motivates me. Someone who I respect and I admire, who's like, you did a good job. And I know that they meant it. Those are the kind of things that keep you going. But yeah, in comedy, like if you don't, I don't know. It is very self-serving. You know what I'm saying? It's not a team sport. We have a team. We have friends. You can be friendly. But it's really about your set, your time. Yeah. You know? And so it's comedy's crazy. Comedy's wild. And it ain't for the weak. You know what I'm saying? A lot of weak people do it, but a lot of those people disappear, you know, or those people never get out of an open mic room, you know? Speaking of open mic rooms, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I would love to do like a mixed open mic and have like more spoken word, you know, more poets. Yeah. So I would love to talk to you later about like what that might look like, because I think we need more spaces. I think people see comedy as a form of art that you go and watch. I don't think as many people realize like that. I feel like the spoken word and poetry community is a very niche like group of people. And I would love to be able to like expose more people to artists. So maybe that's something we could collaborate on later. I'm always thinking about the next thing.
I'm up for it.
And like actually shout out to like, do you know Alon Hampton? Yeah. His spot might be a really cool spot to have that kind of thing. And I know he's doing him. Have you ever done one of his mics?
I have not. I went to school with him back in the day.
Yeah. He has that McKinley Art Studio, and he does open mics, but they're not well promoted. So maybe we could partner on something. All right, I digress. Is there any other questions you have for us before we move on?
Yeah, this is real like motivational speaker energy. But like one of the things that I've been noticing as you all have been talking is like this theme of like evolving and then dropping stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. Right. But like you're talking about like, man, at 19, this is what I was doing. At 27, I picked up the trade. Right. At this point in my life, I was 45, I was 46. Right. Like, and the theory that some psychologists put out in the world.
Are you about to make us feel old?
No, absolutely not. I think if anything, it should make you feel young, right? Like there's a lot left.
Old heads, young minds.
Come on.
Go ahead.
But they say that people like, you know, they'll shed change or like, you know, redo their identity like every 7 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious for you, like what's the next iteration of you look like? You've been comedian, you've been social services, you're now producer, you now run all the open mics, you've been, you know.
I couldn't tell you what the next one is because I think I'm still early on in this one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is a space, and I didn't get into comedy with a goal, and I still don't have a goal. And sorry, but like a lot of comedians are like, what's your goal? And I'm like, and so now I've been saying, oh, my goal is to be a solid host. Yeah. And get booked regularly at clubs around here. You know, I featured, so there's, you know, I don't know if structure, but like there's a host, there might be an opener, a feature, and headliner, right? I featured for Shang back in May at Nate Jackson's, and that was an amazing opportunity. But I'm not really there yet. You know what I'm saying? That was a great opportunity, but a solid host, not everyone likes hosting, and some people think hosting is like the bottom of the barrel shit, which I don't think so, because I think you're setting the tone. I think if comic number one sucks, you're the one who has to bring that energy back. I think hosting is really important. So my goal right now is being a solid host. So I can't tell you what the next me looks like because I'm still living in the early part of this me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hear that.
I do think after just my age, my trauma, things that I've been through, and you should go back and listen to our episode number 2. It talks a lot about our trauma and like kind of where we came from and why we started this podcast and our intentionality about where we want to go. But it talks about where we came from and it's pretty intense, and you should probably bring some tissues. But I can't say for me what next me will be like. I just want to, I would like to be in this me for a long time because this me has been great in terms of this. And this me is evolving all the time. I show up for a showcase at Nate Jackson's, meet this guy, Sterling Scott from Canada. Again, biggest black name. Okay, there's like 6 black comedians in Canada, but still, he's the number one.
You know, there's only 13 that live there, and the other 7 play for the Toronto Raptors.
It's just not a huge black population in Canada, but within the comedy community, he is that dude. And for him, I'll tell you this much though, that kind of goes along with that question and why I'm sitting in this pocket right now and I'm okay with it, because he didn't know about the Open Mic Collective. He didn't know that I did shows. He didn't know about all my hustle. He saw me do 5 minutes of comedy and was like, "You're fucking funny." And he's like, when he asked me how long I had done it, because I was like, "How long you done it?" That's normal, right? He said 16 years. He's 40, right? And he goes, "What about you?" And I'm like, 2 almost. And he's like, "What?" And we had an hour-long conversation where he reenacted my state, my move, like the way you grab the mic, the way you're this. He was paying so much attention in that moment. And it was crazy because I went up right before he did. So usually comics are like in their head. He was a feature, right? So they're in their head, they're getting ready. He literally like mimicked or recreated the way I walked on stage, the way that I grabbed the mic. He was paying attention. And then he was like, "I want you to come to Canada. You're going to be great." That doesn't mean my jokes are fully developed yet. I have so far to go in comedy. But for someone at his level to see that in me and to offer me this opportunity, that's dope. So I want to sit in this pocket for a while, see where it will take me, and then maybe figure out what's next. You know, I always thought I would just be a social worker and then I would do comedy at night. Who knows where it will take me? But I want to be right here in this moment. I don't want to think about where I'm going to be because this is a really good space for me. So that's not answering your question.
I'm in the same boat almost. Like I think this is the first time in my life I'm enjoying the moment and realize I'm in this moment. I'm enjoying it. I've been through so much shit in my life that this is the first time to be kind of authentic and be myself, not having to really serve anybody else. And as far as like my future in comedy, I don't care. I just want to I do want to get better and want to improve and maybe take little steps along the way. But also want people to, I want to transform my life experiences into jokes a little bit more. If you go back and read and listen to episode 2, talk about my trauma, I'll just say that I lost my son at an early age. He was 14. And so that's a little bit of trauma. And I want to tell the story, but then now I'm a comic, so I need to find the funny in it, but also tell the story. You know, Allison touched on being able to tell her stabbing. You know, I haven't found a way to tell that joke yet. And we're going to work on that. I definitely want to tell it by October, because there's a special event that'll be happening in October, and so that I want to be.
My birthday.
Well, no, we're good. We'll be at Joe Box Theater for.
I know who you're talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
My birthday's more important than that.
Yeah, I know. And so that's actually also the anniversary of my son's passing that night.
Not my birthday.
Yeah, no. And so I'm gonna work on hard to get a joke, at least a little bit. You know, a 2-second joke. I don't care.
So I think you caught us with that question so early in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If this was something I had been doing for 7-8 years, maybe I might be in a different space to answer that. But we're so new that
Well, I'm not quitting. I don't think we're quitting. We're not stopping. We're moving on. I'm doing whatever it takes to do comedy.
I'm about to tell 5 minutes of jokes of me and Juvenile today, bro. Like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. I don't.
Like, I'm not quitting. Like, these opportunities are fucking amazing. Yeah. And the fact that I go out in the community and people are like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, I saw you at Nate Jackson. I stood on the street corner by Tacoma Comedy Club downtown at like 11 o'clock after a show with another comedian. You know how it is on Market. Like, it's dead down there, right? This fucking huge ass truck is driving by, honking his horn. Of course, me and the comedian, we kind of turned to look like, what the fuck? And he's like, I saw you. The guy in the truck is like, I saw you at Nate Jackson. You were fucking funny. And I was like, bro, did you see that? Like, that is something that I can't recreate for myself. Absolutely. And when I did politics, those 4 or 5 years that I intensely did politics when I was being here, it was always about someone else. It was about the organization. It was about a candidate. It was whatever. And being a campaign manager or being the chair or whatever, that's always about serving everyone from the bottom, right? Being a parent is about my daughter. And my daughter's 28, but she's special needs. So she'll always need me to support her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, she goes grocery shopping for her. She could take care of me when I'm sick. But like, I will always have to be her parent. I will always have to be on top of her about a lot of things. So I'm always taking care of other people. That right there was dope. Like someone saw me. Yeah. First of all, I was like, how did you notice me? And I was like,
I had a similar experience and don't cut you off. But not as deep as that. I was at Tacoma.
I mean, I'm that bitch, but go ahead.
Come on. I was at Tacoma, the new one, and I did it was open mic, and then it was after the open mic, and then somebody went up to me and went, well, and I went, no shit, no shit.
Welp is a joke that he tells.
It's one of my best. It's my best.
Kind of like your signature.
It's my signature.
Yeah, I mean, there's a competition that we're both doing. That it's like a 3-month competition, and then there's a finals in September, and we're actually competing against you. I mean, there's no, I'm going to win. But during my month, when I went in July, the DJ that came in to do karaoke at the end of the night, basically, he was like, thanks for bringing all these people. Because I won the competition, and it was like an audience vote. I was like, I didn't bring these people. I don't know these people. But the people in the audience, they just happened to have seen me at other places, and they loved me. And they were actually asking me, like, are you going on tonight? At one point, I left to go to my car before I performed, and these girls went after me. And they were like, wait, are you going on tonight? And these are people I was at Dick's in fucking Queen Anne in line, and this dude was like, yo. And I was like, who is it? I turned around, he was talking to me, and I was like, what? And he was like, yo, you're a comedian, right? That's wild. Yeah. I mean, you probably experienced that.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I went to Nate's.
That is a wild feeling. I went
to Nate's, and the security guard, when I went to Nate's for Nate's 40th birthday, and the security guard that I think he cut his dreads. I don't even know the dude's name.
Yeah, he cut his hair.
Yeah, I don't know his name. And he goes, hey, are you going up tonight? I went, no, who are you? Right. No, I was like, I'm here for the show. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
But as an empath and as a caretaker, and
absolutely,
we don't take care of ourselves very well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That may or may not be relatable for you, but when you're focused on everyone else all the time, your community, your kids, your family, your parents, whomever, people like me, for the first time ever, people are seeing this other piece of me, and it's for something positive.
Yeah.
And it's something that's directly supporting me. You know, I love it. I love it. So I don't know who I'm going to be. That's a long story, Christian. I don't know who I'm going to be in a few years. I don't know what that next iteration will be. Hopefully better than I am today.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. But right now I'm in a good space.
Take that.
That was a big question. Something I never thought about, really. Like, I don't think too much about the future. I think when you've almost died, you don't know if there is a future.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's sort of, now that I've experienced that, even though I was, much older, it felt similar to when my Black friends say, like, I didn't think I'd get to 30. Or I didn't think I'd get out of the hood. Like, I didn't think I'd make it to 21. People don't think beyond that because they're not sure that they'll get there. And now that I went through what I went through with my stabbing, I just look at every day like an opportunity. Because that, I'm not going to get into it, but like, he didn't abuse me. It wasn't like, oh, we could have seen this coming. He had a psychotic break. It came out of nowhere. That man worshipped me.
Yeah.
So like, if that could happen by someone I love in my home, every day is a day that I just want to try and sometimes just got to make it through. But sometimes, most of the time, I'm grateful to be here. And like, I'm going to appreciate every moment, period.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, all right. Do you want to move on to dope or trash? Did you bring any dope or trash topics?
Yeah, I have two.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So like, and this is on your conversation about like progressives and that, right? And then the intersection of comedy. And I'm curious, especially because of the things that you laid down. Like, I'm curious about like Dave Chappelle.
Dope or trash?
Dope or trash?
We saw Dave Chappelle together, actually.
Yeah.
We saw Dave Chappelle together back in December. But Chris Rock was there. And what we didn't know is that Chris Rock was actually running his special. He uses, I want to be that famous. I want to be able to use an arena to run my open mic. Like, he literally was wearing all white, just like he did on his special. I don't know if you saw his last special, but all white. He ran the same set. It was changed because it was a couple months later because it was the live set that he did, right? I thought Dave Chappelle was funny. I thought Chris Rock was funnier. He also brought out Black Star, which is fucking dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
You know, old hip hop heads. I think Dave Chappelle's dope.
I think it's dope too.
I think this whole weird trans shit is he's talked about on so many specials now. The one where he actually talks about his friend who was trans who then committed suicide or whatever, he clearly loved her. And he clearly understand that it was her. I don't understand why he's sticking to making everyone so uncomfortable with this trans shit. It's weird as fuck. I don't know why he calls himself transphobic. You're not, I don't think he is transphobic. I think it's a marketing ploy. A stupid one. You know what I'm saying? Personally, just from what I see. Because he had so much emotion, so much love for that chick. And he was clearly so distraught that, you know, so it was so upsetting to him that she died. I don't get that. I also think he's so rich and so famous, he's very disconnected from himself. And I think that once he left the Chappelle show and went to Africa and had this and started, you know, I don't know, doing steroids or just naturally got big like that. I don't know what happened to him. You know what I'm saying? He seems like he's shifted in a lot of ways. But he's a genius. So at the end of the day, I'm a triple Libra. Seriously, like sun, moon, star Libra. So everything goes on a scale to me. I think Dave Chappelle's still dope. Yeah. I do a lot of moments with him now. And also, like, he needs to fucking stop smoking. Because, like, he literally smokes the entire time he's on stage all the time. Yeah. Like, literally, cigarette after cigarette.
Even at Climate Pledge.
Yeah, in the middle of the Climate Pledge arena, we're all getting secondhand smoke.
Yeah, I saw him at the Dome. It was the same. Like,
so I'm like, why are you smoking? But, like, I didn't think he was that funny that night, necessarily. But I think overall, he's a fucking genius. Yeah. But I don't, you know, I think he's dope.
Yeah, I think he's dope. I like him a lot.
We had a good night that night.
Yeah.
It was weird too, because we're sitting there and like who walks in and sits directly behind us? But Nate Jackson.
Oh man.
We're like, what's up, boss?
The only thing I hate about those shows is they have the no phone shows and you're like,
yeah, you couldn't take
you're like,
pictures.
I don't want to like, I'm not going to record it, dude. I respect, you know, but I want that obligatory picture. Hey, I was here.
The only thing that I hate about it is that we paid not a lot, but a good amount of money for ours. And Dave Chappelle comped Nate Jackson's tickets. Anyways. Nook, what do you think about Dave Chappelle?
I love Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
I was also at that show.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
You weren't sitting with Nate Jackson, though?
Nah, I was up in the stands surrounded by people who didn't know who Black Star was. So.
I know.
That's crazy.
That drove me nuts. That honestly, first of all, Dave has an amazing DJ who warmed up the audience in a great way. And we were sitting right in front of the DJ, so that was cool. But when Mos Def, I am a huge Mos Def fan.
Messed me up, man.
And when he came out and like, me and him were like the only people in our row that was like, and everybody else, I was like, these young motherfuckers here. Like, that
Who's Mos Def?
Stop it. Stop it.
I'll
Stop
leave
it.
Pull your card, bro. We'll pull your
Stop
card.
it.
Come on, man. I'm a literary artist. Like, you gotta know.
He's not
you
even
gotta
going by
know.
Most Def anymore.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
going-
Yassine Bey.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
going by his real name. Yeah. Just like Abel is going by Abel instead of The Weeknd. But yeah, that drove me. I'm glad you had that experience. It validates that we weren't the only ones. Because I'm like, you don't even know, like, they didn't even know, like, their most popular
I was
shit.
with people who didn't know who Black Star
Yeah.
was.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's
you-
crazy.
Hey, I used to drive Uber and Lyft. That's how we actually met. Is we were in an Uber and Lyft group, and I had some young kids in my car, and Outkast song came on. I have a huge Outkast tattoo on my thigh. It used to be behind my ear, and these bitches didn't know who Outkast was, and I was like, I'm gonna pull over in Kirkland and take you, motherfucker. Y'all gotta get out. I'm not taking you to no club.
That's tough.
Yes, I felt very old in that moment.
Yeah.
But it was dope. I almost said that concert was good. That show was great. Did you think that Chris Rock was better than Dave Chappelle that day?
I think I was kind of in the days just being there.
See,
They're so massive in the industry, you know. It's like just being around them was an experience on its own.
well, you look at it from a different set of eyes than we do as comedians, right?
Yeah.
My thing is, now it all made sense. As soon as I saw his live show, I was like, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, he just ran an open mic on us for $300 a piece. But also, he was there to do something. He was there to practice this hour. Because he did an hour, and Dave Chappelle only did like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
He was there to do what he came to do, Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's there to just be like, I'm Dave Chappelle, and you already paid me, so I'm gonna stay with the boy. He did this long joke about I know what it was, but I'm not even gonna get into it. I was like, it wasn't that funny. Again, he's still a fucking genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could appreciate controversial. I can appreciate Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and Michael Jackson for who they were. You know what I'm saying? For their art, separate from their stupidity.
Yeah.
I can separate those two. Dave Chappelle is just kind of like sitting in his pocket and making bank.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be that funny because he's Dave Chappelle,
Right.
right? Chris Rock had something to prove because he was getting ready to do this live. It was after the slap, you know. So that's why I think he was, I thought he was so much better. But yeah, Dave Chappelle's dope. What do you think?
I think same space, right? I think
What if
he's-
he was like, trash?
No, I think it's dope. I think like when you watch, because in the same way, I'm not a comedian, but like I'm a rhetorician, and so when you watch how someone uses callbacks or how they paint a story or right, like technically, my man's is. I don't know anybody else who tells stories in that way.
His kick him in the pussy joke is like so fucking awesome. Because it's good, and take the context out of it. It's so because he tells the story in the callback, callback. You know, like yeah.
But what you just said about the rhetoric, though, that's the trans shit to me. That's the callback. He's been calling back this trans shit for four fucking specials.
Yeah,
Bro, move on.
Because
Move
they keep getting on
around.
him about it, though.
yeah.
What?
They keep getting on him about it and trying to take his stuff off of Netflix, and he's just like, you know what?
But he's going to continue to make money because he's going to continue to talk about it. And like 7 trans Netflix employees were like, I quit. Nobody gives a fuck about them, unfortunately.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Even though they should. And rhetoric is a great term. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I think it is. I think he's playing off the fact that people want to hear what he's going to talk about now about the trans people.
Yeah.
And how he's transphobic. And I'm just like, bro, I don't even believe you're transphobic, which is more offensive to me than anything, to be honest. But whatever. So yeah, he's very skilled at what he does.
Absolutely.
I don't watch TV shows or movies repeatedly. Like once I saw a movie, I usually saw it, unless it's like something I really love, like Moana.
You're welcome.
But I mean, you could watch Dave Chappelle's show over and over. And
Absolutely.
Over and over
Dave
again.
Chappelle.
Come on, I still got the DVDs.
Yeah,
like, it was-
exactly. You can watch that shit repeatedly
Yeah.
and laugh every fucking time. So yeah, okay, dope.
Who doesn't get enough love in that whole thing is Donnell Rollins.
Oh yeah,
Ashley
Oh, he
Larry.
was there
well,
too.
Donnell
He was there.
Rollins opened for him that
yeah.
night.
He's probably like the funniest dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Ashley Larry.
Ashley Larry.
Larry. That's what
Ashley Larry is an icon.
I think that's what I said when we left. I think I posted. We got to see Ashley Larry, Pookie, and Bigums was in the same night.
Yeah.
Look, you wouldn't know this, but the white dude that opened for him, who was a killer as well, he actually worked at the Comedy Store in LA for years and was security. And then he went into comedy and, and now he's he's like warming up the crowd for fucking Dave Chappelle.
That's crazy.
He did crowd work in an arena.
That's all he did was crowd work. He just came out to like get people comfortable. And he was fucking good. But his story, I heard about his story. Like, it was just a white dude, pretty square looking white dude. But he was security, I think, at the Comedy Store in LA forever. And then ended up getting on stage and just kind of worked his way up. And now he's fucking opening arenas. And you could tell, because I think he said it at the end, like, man, this is dope being here. Like every night. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Okay, what's your next one?
My next one.
I have one too, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do you want to run yours or do you want me to?
Okay, yeah, I will do it.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I think I can go with one.
Positive parenting.
Ooh.
Okay, definition of that.
The idea that like you should never yell at your kid. You should never spank your kid. You should never discipline your kid. Like timeouts work for every fucking kid. Like, that's not the official definition, I'm sure, but that's how it's perceived, which I think, I'm gonna leave it at that. Dope or trash?
That's trash. I don't think spanking should be a thing all the time, but I don't think a spanking is a spanking, not a whoop, not a beating. There's a difference. I don't think at certain times I was a good parent and found the line of being the line of, especially when you get into the teenagers and being the friend and there was a line, and I was always either on one side or the other, either too strict or too much of a friend. So yeah, I don't. That's about it.
There's a big generational gap between us.
And there is, and I think that there are some dope aspects to it. I think it's unrealistic though. You know what I mean? Because like, I have to have a relationship with my kids. I also have to prepare my kids for the world.
Right.
And so like, I affirm my kids a lot, right? Like one of the things that, I would say my parents were, they were tough, they were strict, and like there was like a performance ask. You know what I mean? And so there was not a lot of times where like my parents affirmed the things that I was doing because they wanted me to grind for those things.
Got it.
And so I think one of the positive elements that I've taken in that is like, like I tell my daughter that I'm proud of her often.
Good.
You know what I mean? And like, I'm not weird about having like physical affection or hugs or kisses from my son. You know what I mean? But like, you out of line, I also got to let you know you're out of line. Like a timeout might not solve this.
Yep.
Like, some of the things I do take away is like I get down on eye level with my kids. Like,
that's a real good.
I think there's some social emotional
Especially
stuff that's important.
Because you're really tall. So
Yeah, and so like even if I don't yell, if I'm like, yo, like it scares them.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2", 225.
Yeah.
Like that's a big body to be talking to somebody who's a toddler. And so like I think that there are some elements of that work. But I think folks who like live in some fantasy land that like, and more power to you. You raise your kids how you like to. But I think some of that's trash. I think the expectation of it is like, this is just going to look like flowers and roses. And if you support them, they're not going to take advantage of. I'm like, nah, I know who I am. And like, I've watched myself be really nice and calm and all of those things and get walked over. And that's not the reality that I want for my kids because I know, terrain that they're going to have to navigate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's cool in theory.
No.
Oh, that's trash.
He said, absolutely not. I'm not here for it.
Oh, you said trash, right?
I didn't say anything yet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say anything yet. But I think positive parenting is trash. I think that it's important. I think that affirmation part is important.
Yeah.
I think telling our sons the boys don't cry is trash.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I think that there are parts of it that are great. I think that, getting our kids to understand mental health very young.
Yep.
And encouraging them to get the support that they need. If I was diagnosed with depression at 9, You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that normalizing things like therapy, normalizing things about our feelings, having that little chart at home that every morning you're like, okay, how do you feel today with the different faces? You know what I'm saying? That's how you start those things. And I think that part is important. I think the idea that kids don't need discipline or that you can be like, okay, Johnny, you know what I'm saying? And I hate saying it's a white people thing because it's not a white people thing, but it's a heavily on the white people thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, I'm also a social worker and the rules of this state, you can spank your kid. You can't leave marks and you have to do it like open hand. You have to do it like on the butt, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But I don't think every kid needs a spanking either. I think some kids respond to different. Me, my mom used to, I'm such an asshole. My mom would whip me with a wooden spoon and I would not cry. You know what I'm saying? That became a power of wills. That bitch took my radio away. Oh, it was over.
You lost it, huh?
You know what I'm saying? My daddy was a DJ.
Yeah.
My mom's whole family is in music. Like music is life, right? I often say music is my religion. You took my radio away? Okay, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me personally, there were other ways to get to me. Spanking didn't work because I was so tough. And my parents, I'm the oldest kid on both sides of my family. Both my parents were abused physically, which was the norm back then. So they didn't know how to raise me. They did the best they could. I was the test child in the family. But this soft shit, I think that's why we have soft adults. I think that's why, no offense to your generation, I think that's where there's a lot of soft kids in your generation who you can't tell no to, who you can't have a disagreement with without having them completely lose their shit. And I'm just like, bro, grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all going to be different. We all come from different spaces. And I think some of that comes from how we're raised. It comes from the participation trophy. You know, everyone gets a prize parenting. And it's like, that's not how it is in life.
Yeah.
And if you're not teaching your kids the coping skills for when you're not the one that wins, when you're not the one that gets chosen, when you're not the one that, then you have these meltdowns, and then these kids all is there a reason why all your like, I'm absolutely stereotyping, but y'all got a lot of fucking anxiety. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys have anxiety that didn't exist in our generation. Not to say that we don't have more than we talked about.
Yeah.
But everyone in your generation has anxiety. Everyone has something going on. Everyone needs a mental health day all the time. And I'm just like, yo, yes, we all need it sometimes, but it's a balance. And I think that positive parenting takes the abuse of my parents and it goes to the other extreme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think the only way that people are going to be successful as adults is finding the middle ground. And again, I don't necessarily think whoopings is always the answer. But I do think some kids respond to that the same way I responded to taking away my radio. You know?
Yeah.
Man, some of these kids out here, and they're so disrespectful, the way they talk to adults and the way they, you know, I mean, I don't know statistics, so I could be wrong, but the amount of like 16, 17, 18-year-olds going to jail for murder and assault and all this is insane.
Yeah.
And that's extreme.
Yeah.
But just go to Safeway and look at a group of teenagers weird. Back in my day, I'm not saying we wouldn't say something back, but we wouldn't be cussing out somebody's mama like that.
Absolutely not.
These kids don't give a fuck.
No.
And if you're raising your kids soft, they're going to act entitled.
Yeah, I think that it has to be.
There's a correlation.
Yeah, it has to be a balance. You can't go one way or the other. It's a fine line.
But at the same time, it is so important to teach your daughters how to be strong and your sons how to be soft.
Yep.
Like, you need to, because you're going to do the opposite for each kid as it is, because that's our gender norms, right? But I think I can't stand it when I still hear today people say like, boys don't cry, or, you know, fighting at school, like parents encouraging that, like if they hit you, hit back. That should be the last resort. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like you have to figure out all the other ways, because now people don't fight. And you fight in middle school.
Yeah.
But you know what you do at 19? You get shot dead at a gas station.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we got to find a middle ground. So I think that positive parenting as a 100% concept is trash.
Yeah.
I do think there's good things out of it. So that's where I'm at. Positive parenting. What was yours?
I'm gonna go light. Box wine.
Oh, trash.
I just reminded from yesterday. Somebody had box wine. It looked like coconut water.
It made me realize that my grandma was probably an alcoholic. My grandma always had a box of wine in her fridge. And I'm like, man, grandma drank way more than I realized.
Box wine. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't like wine anyways.
Oh, you don't? That's right.
Yeah.
You like alcohol, like liquor.
Liquor. Rum or vodka.
Right.
I think I'm gonna have to go trash now. And I think there's certain things that, you realize that you're bougie about. Like I've just got into, there's certain things that I just like, I'm humble as all get out. Some things that's just beneath me,
Oh, for sure.
And box wine fits into that
I'm a
category.
sneakerhead.
Like, you know what I mean? Like sneakers can't be off. Like there was a time where,
all got our shit.
R&R and E&J was in rotation. And I'm like, no, I'm bougie now.
I never posted this, but I was in Lakewood not too long ago, and I was at just a corner store. There was fucking Mad Dog 2020,
Stop.
and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What high school dream am I living right now?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everybody is different. So I don't drink wine, so I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But I couldn't date a guy with trash shoes. You know what I'm saying? That's just. We all got our shit.
Prerequisite.
So, the box wine is funny.
I think it's trash too. Actually, if I'm gonna enjoy wine, if it's a barbecue, I'm gonna drink beer.
One of our friends brought it, and we were harassing her about it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jen Cooper. We love you, and girl, drink your box wine, bitch. We don't care.
I just I think if I'm gonna be down, I'm drinking Rainier and drinking a low level beer. Like I'm not drinking, which might be other people might think that's trash, but. If I'm gonna drink wine, I'm drinking it out of the bottle. Like
I don't drink
literally.
beer or wine. No.
I don't really have an opinion. I've never. I've always been sober, so.
You've never drank at all?
Nah.
Shout out to Nook. He's so much better than us.
I know.
Such a better human.
I'm sorry.
Such a better human. We get more sleep than you. So, anyways, just because of the baby.
It's so cool.
What'd you say?
You think it's so cool because you get to sleep.
Yeah, I sure fucking do.
I actually haven't got my sleep this week.
Actually, yeah, it's been a long week. Okay, what's your last one, and then we'll close up.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect old head question. But I
now
think
you're gonna make us feel old.
no, I have to now because I find myself creeping into this category.
We're canceling this episode. This is our last episode. We're not putting this out
This
there.
is the finale. But today's hip hop.
Oh
Is
god.
it dope or is it trash? This is where you got to go real old head on
We
it.
talked a little bit about it not too long ago. I think for the most part, current hip hop is trash.
I feel like we've touched on this somewhere before.
I think I talked about mumble rap or something.
Yeah, I think mumble rap came up as a dope or trash topic. I think that there are some good players in the game. I like Lil Baby a lot.
Okay.
He's not that young, but he's today's. I love G-Eazy. I'm from the Bay though, right?
Yep.
That is my favorite white boy in the game. I like some of it. I think most of the women are trash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Nicki Minaj. I mean, I'll listen to it and it's catchy. But as far as good music, I think Meg has some great shit out. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion and fuck anybody who hates on her. And also, what?
She's from H-Town.
I know. Meg Thee Stallion as a person seems really dope. And she could definitely be my best friend. I think Meg Thee Stallion is great. There are no Little Kims. There are no Foxy Browns. There are no Raw Digga, which is my bitch. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think the women in the game right now are trash for the most part. I think, I don't know, mumble rap is kind of, I like songs, but that's the market now. The market is not an album.
Yeah.
The market is a song. You know what I'm saying? The market is a 4-track EP, right? So,
I guess he's getting older. Yeah, I guess he's getting older now, but Kendrick's my guy.
Kendrick is dope.
As my
but is
young,
he now? I feel like he's mid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not mid in quality. Mid in not
he's
old.
He's
between old and
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Is he what, 35, 36, somewhere in there?
But here's the thing. Have you listened to, I'm biased as fuck. So have you listened to like Killer Mike's album is fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Andre 3000's verse on Scientist is, Andre 3000 is a goat. Fight me. You know what I'm saying? Period. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's some good stuff out there now. I think that there are good songs. But do I want to, I could listen to a whole Lil Baby EP. I could even listen to I haven't listened to Travis Scott's new album, but I hear it's okay. I like Travis Scott actually a lot, except, you know, when he let those people die at his festival. But,
he ruined the name Astroworld. You know that was a theme park.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
Sound again. We used to go there. I remember we used to get dropped off at Astroworld and just like
it's like a Six Flags.
Yeah. And just
I think there's pockets of goodness in hip hop. But do I think that anybody can, like, I just listened to Aquemini yesterday in the car, start to finish, right? Like, you can put on All Eyes on Me and listen to 77 tracks, basically, and they're all bangers, right?
Yeah.
So I think music has just evolved into something very different.
like at the barbecue, I just put on I Love My 90s Hip Hop.
Yeah, and that was great, and everything was a banger.
Playlist, and nobody
Everything was a
complained.
banger. But I think that there's some redeeming stuff. I also think the accessibility to be able to make your own music means you can make a lot more trash.
That's
You know what I'm
just
saying?
get it out the way.
Right.
Yeah,
You know
the
what I'm saying?
throwaways don't make it to the live.
You can make so much trash and put it on Spotify, and you might think it's great, but it's mostly trash. I think it's a different world. But there are definitely some people that I do like. Like, I really like Lil Baby a lot, actually. And I think he's really talented. But most of it, yeah. And especially for the women. The women do not have anybody, like an actual, like, hardcore rap. Megan is probably the closest one. And I don't like when she does, some of her more popular stuff is more like pretentious shit. You know what I'm saying? But you'll never have another 3 Stacks. You're never going to have another Tupac. Or another Biggie. So,
Man.
also 3 Stacks, if you and Big Boy could just figure this shit out, please.
Or, if Mount Westmore will like figure this shit out.
Oh, Mount Westmore. They need to get on a tour.
Yeah,
I want that to happen. So that's a great little group. But that's all old heads, right?
It's all old heads.
No young heads. So I trash.
Yeah, trash. What do you think, Doug?
I'm sort of in the middle because it'll never be like it was when we were growing up. In like the 90s, the music was so it was so good, man. And it's like you don't need to be good at this anymore to be famous at it. Like, there's no reason that Lil Yachty should be as famous as he is.
I kind of like Lil Yachty.
No, he's terrible. He's terrible. He has a dumb voice. He's bad at rapping.
I like him.
He can't sing and he does it anyway. I can't do it. I can't.
See, I like Lil Yachty where I don't like Dram. I don't fucking Broccoli.
I don't know who that is.
But I like the Broccoli guy.
Nope.
Okay, well, we can get to that later. But I like Lil Yachty. But I get what you're saying, though, for sure.
But there's a lot of really, really talented people just sprinkled in there. But I just feel like the bad kind of outweighs the good.
Real quick, I'm going to tie that into comedy real quick because I spent some time with some producers, some club owners recently, and we were talking about that exact thing. In fact, Bobby, the guy from San Antonio, and then I was talking to Angela at Laughs. When they book, they don't book on funny anymore. They book on, do you have 100,000 followers? Yep. Because then they don't have to promote. You know what I'm saying? Nate Jackson, how much promotion do you think that they did for 17 sold out shows in Chicago? None. Because Nate has 1 million followers, right? You don't have to be funny to be a comedian. That's wild.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is that going to pick up my whisper?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Good. I was like, because I will say it louder. You don't have to be funny to be a comedian. And it's the same concept translated into comedy, right? Like,
absolutely.
You can,
I guess, just
be outrageous.
You just didn't know that, outrageous, do something at moment, go viral, and just get all these followers.
I will also add to this question, I fucking hate Kanye West for being the idiot that he is now because he's so fucking talented.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
You were the chosen one.
God, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. And I don't know if it's his mental health, and if it is, like, love and light to you, bro. Yeah. But, like, you have enough people around you and enough money to like get you right. And like, this path is gross to me because he's a fucking genius and he's so good when he's good.
Absolutely.
But I can't make excuses for the stupid shit he does anymore. Versus someone like Pharrell, who's a genius, who just is always good, or Childish Gambino, you know what I'm saying? Like, also
Chance the Rapper.
geniuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kanye is that fringe genius, but fuck, I hate him for being this person that he is now on pretty much every level. And I wish he would just figure out how to get back to normal.
Oh yeah.
Because his weirdo is just taking over. And again, on my Libra scales, his bad is outweighing his good. So like, I can't respect Kanye on any fucking level. But it sucks because man, it sucks. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the trash side for sure. And I think you summed it up really well when you were like, yo, you don't have to be funny anymore. Like I saw this post the other day and it just made so much sense. It was like, you hate that EP, but it's finished. You hate that video, but it's posted.
Right.
You hate that podcast, but it's consistent. And like, I think that's the formula now.
Podcast,
no,
they're
not. They're not. But you know what I mean? Like, I think rapid execution is outweighing quality at this
100%.
point. Yeah. If you can put out 100, I remember Russ, he's like
I love Russ.
Yeah, right?
So much.
But he was
Katie was totally into Russ.
Losing My Mind is like one of.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, my wife is a fan too, right? And like, but as we said, the formula was, he said people gave up on albums, right? And so he said, I was just going to put out a song a week.
Yeah.
Until there was enough following for me to then have enough attention to put an album out. And I think that that's the formula now.
And he also tweets constantly.
He's on it.
He's, you know what I'm saying? Like, he gets the formula.
Yeah.
And he goes to Egypt and he sells up, like, he goes all over the world. Like, I follow him pretty closely.
Yeah.
And he's doing it. But he also puts out quality shit, though.
He does. He's nice.
That's the difference. He puts out quality shit. Versus my homie Abel, you know what I'm saying? AKA The Weeknd. The Weeknd is genius. The Weeknd's first 3 albums are fucking fire. The Weeknd did fucking a movie soundtrack and changed his entire personality, his face and everything. Yeah. And it's crazy because The Idol on HBO, which got very, very, very poor reviews for the most part. It's crazy little. Did you watch it?
I haven't.
No, it's weird. The show itself is like trash. But the music is old Weeknd. It's
like House of Balloons.
Yes.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Yes. Listen to the soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? But like these last couple albums, not that they're terrible, but like once he did, I Can't Feel My Face shit. What's the
I Can't Feel My Face.
What's the movie though? What's the movie that the 50 Shades of Grey shit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Once he hit that space and he cut those free locks off and switched from, whatever drugs he was doing to cocaine, probably he just became a different person, and I hate that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The shift is weird, but it's all geared towards making money.
Absolutely.
I think Russ loves making music.
Absolutely.
I love Russ. You said your wife's a fan. Are you not a fan?
I'm a fan too, not as much as her.
Okay.
I'm really a fan of people and their models. You know what I mean? And there's a weird in between because like being a poet, like I love to listen to things that are in alignment with my life or that I agree with. It's very rare that like, and I laugh with my wife about this all the time because my wife is, she's just so like, she's calm, she's cool. And the music that she likes is the complete opposite. Like, she'll bump the City Girls, but like read a book. You know what I mean? Like the energies are just different. And so like for most of the time I'm in alignment with, but the thing that I appreciated about Russ was the model. You know what I mean? Like, I'm running from SoundCloud. There's a cat named La Russell out of the V in California. Wow. And like my guy's running a venue out of his backyard.
Dope.
And sells like stock to his songs.
Whoa.
And like, if you're going to be a fan, you're going to be a fan.
Right.
And you're going to pull up. And like, I also just happen to like his music too. But I think when I watch those people, like there were inventive people when we were coming up. Like Missy Elliott is a genius.
Oh, she is.
You know what I mean? Timberland was crazy. There's all of those people, and the model of what
Shout
they
out
put
to
out was so
Magoo.
special.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Also,
Magoo.
why didn't we talk about this all week? I don't know. That was weird. I feel like nobody talked about it, but
I
like,
seen the post and I was like, yeah, it wasn't enough.
yeah, shout out to Magoo.
What happened to Magoo?
He died.
Magoo died?
That's my,
Yeah.
earlier this week of a heart attack.
That's exactly your point.
He's 50.
Yo.
I know.
Yeah.
Nobody. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was
Yo,
weird.
2 shouts outs to Magoo. That's, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But I mean, you know, there was something, that hurt my heart.
I know. Sorry.
Oh,
Breaking news.
yeah.
Yeah, he died of a heart attack. He was only 50.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I can't believe that it wasn't bigger news.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Yeah.
Like,
Timberland was posting Surrounded by Idiots stuff, and I was like, oh.
What?
I said Timberland was posting the Surrounded by Idiots songs. Their old group.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Magoo, but yes.
but that was when, like, genius was on display.
But I think the difference is that I think Russ is a great example of understanding the market and making good music.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's a white dude. I think he's white. Abel Hart. He's a white dude. He puts out a new song like every other day.
Yeah.
And some of his shit kills and some of his doesn't. But like he's doing it for the art. Russ is a great example of someone who's doing it for the art, but also makes money.
Yeah.
I think other people just are trying to make money. And
Yeah.
that's when, if all you're worried about is what you're getting at the end, you're not worried about the art. And that doesn't seem like a sustainable model.
At all. But, I mean, if you're in for a quick grab,
Sure.
then you'll get it.
Sure.
Like
But if you're not mature enough to know how to handle it, like, for instance, Da Baby, first of all, can we stop with the babies? But as much as I love Lil Baby,
Put your
can
baby
we stop
sounds-
it? Like, but Da
Too
Baby,
many
you
names.
know what
Too
I'm
many
saying?
names. They're so close.
He jumped in, made a bunch of great music, but was a fucking moron and had no act right, treated his baby mama like shit, said a bunch of homophobic shit, and now he's basically canceled. He didn't get the model. You know what I'm saying? He got it quickly, but then he's fighting his baby mom and his brother at a fucking bowling alley and shit, and now he's canceled.
Yeah.
He should have done better. Where Russ gets it. He puts out the music. He understands the marketing, but the music is still quality. And that's why I think Russ has a long, like a slow burn, but a longevity in this game.
Absolutely. And it's
My
not for the masses, right? It's for
Right.
his fan base.
Yes.
Like if you're locked in, you're locked in, and we're not
Yes.
worried about what the rest of the world thinks.
Right.
And I think the opposite, like you're saying, with somebody like, the baby or whomever, right? When they do that rapid thing, it's like, I'm just hoping. Like
Yeah.
it's for the world to see. Most of the time it's controversial. Most of the time it's shock and awe. And like you said, shock and awe is
But it's
not
over.
sustainable.
It's over quick.
Yeah.
So-
but I think a lot of the music right now is
Yeah.
fits in the shock and awe space.
Why we're still bumping Tupac.
Yeah.
While we're still running that.
You know what I'm saying? Tupac's
Yeah.
been dead longer than he's been alive at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that was wow.
This year, I
Yeah.
think, is the year.
Yeah.
He
terms of
died in
music?
1996.
I know where I was.
I graduated high school in 96.
I was locked
and
up
I was
when he
sitting,
died.
I was sitting
So
watching my boyfriend practice football at a Victor Valley Junior College when it came on the radio that he had finally passed away. Not that he got shot, but he had actually finally passed away.
Yeah.
And I lived like 2 hours from Vegas. So it was a very popular story at the time. So that was 27 years ago, right? And he died at 27. So he's been dead.
Oh,
I think his birthday was in June. So like he's been dead longer than he's been alive. And we still could
Yeah.
bump him today.
Might be on the way
And
home.
he's still, right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We just did yesterday at the barbecue.
yeah.
You know, he's all over that playlist. So yeah, I think music today is, it's funny how we all agree to trash, but then we still love certain aspects of it, of course.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's more, for me, it's more like, God, do better.
Yeah.
For real.
I think we
Learn
hope,
from your ancestors,
Yeah,
y'all.
we hope for- we hope
Learn
for it
from
to
the
be
people
better,
before
you
you.
know?
Like,
and I think we see the talent in people, and we're like, man, you could be better.
that's why I like Lil Baby, because like Lil Baby is, actually on another podcast I listened to, they were just talking about, God, who was it? It was somebody that I'm not that into, that's a young person, who was canceling tours because they weren't selling out ticket sales. Oh, it was on the Rory and Mal podcast, which I listen to religiously. I love it. Cause fuck Joe Budden. But they were talking about whoever it was canceling tours, but I think Maul was like, well, he's not doing arenas or anything. And they looked, he sure was. And I can't even remember who it was. And I love hip hop, right?
Yeah.
That's how much this guy was not that important. And they were putting him in arenas yet. He wasn't ready. He was ready for the showbox, not the Climate Pledge.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example. This is controversial, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, think what you want. I love August Alsina, period. Away from all that Will and Jada shit. August Alsina is a genius. Like some of his first 2 albums are so good. But I saw him this close at the Showbox.
Yeah.
And now you got these new rappers who've never been on a tour at all going to the Climate Pledge?
Yeah.
Going to the Key? Going to WAMU? What? What are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You can jump from TikTok to an arena quickly.
Or you can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can maybe think so. But obviously some of these people getting their tours canceled for that reason because they couldn't. They thought they could.
Yeah.
But they couldn't.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think you still have to put out quality product. And I'm not paying $150 to watch you do 2 songs. I paid I paid almost $300, which was cheap.
Yeah.
I paid $290 to see Taylor Swift for 4 hours play 172 songs.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $200 to watch you do 1 song that I like and a bunch of shit that's trash.
Yeah.
No, not.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Period. I'm not. So, do better, rappers, today. And can we get like a good girl, like another strong
Please. Please. I need a Lauren, man.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about Lauren because Lauren is the great disappointment in female rap to me. As much as I have her tattooed here, Lauren has 1 strong album and that's it. And I think the way she's disrespected her audiences since then, I paid a lot of money to see that 25th. Well, I didn't want to get on you, Lauren, but we're getting on you. I paid a lot of money to see that tour. It was actually the year I got stabbed. So 5 years ago, when she hit the 25-year mark, or maybe it was the 20th, because I think she's hitting 25 now, of Miseducation. As per usual, the bitch comes in hella late, and she's so known for that, it's almost... Why? Like, you shouldn't feel that entitled. We paid money to see you. She comes in late, and if it's an anniversary tour, I want every note to be the same. We're here to sing with you. This is one big karaoke in an arena. And she changed the melodies of every single song. And it was like, I feel like that's disrespectful to her fans.
It was at the Showware, right?
It was at Showware,
Yo,
yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was ill.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, it didn't feel like one
But
big
you
karaoke.
didn't grow up with it originally. You were
I did.
10 years old when that came out. You were
It
5
doesn't
years old when it
matter.
came out.
I still was in the back like, that thing.
Right. I mean, I hear you, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, changing those melodies on an anniversary tour. And the thing is, I've been seeing Lauryn Hill for 25 years. And she's never been on time. She's always been rude to her crowds.
Facts.
She's always cut shit short.
I think the change of the melodies, though,
She's like the
is
Kanye West of fucking, in some ways. You know what I'm saying?
you're
Like, you have so much genius.
Yeah.
I'm literally, this says never underestimate those who use hard, because karma will get to you hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love Lauryn Hill, don't get me wrong, but fuck, 1 album and then 25 years of disrespect?
Yeah.
Again, I think there's some mental illness with her. I think whatever she went through with the Marley family, she put out like 9 babies in like 15 years or something, right? And if you really pay attention to Lauryn Hill, a couple years ago it came out, her oldest daughter was like, my mom was terrible. She used to beat the fuck out of us. She was abusive as fuck. Like, I think there's a lot going on with Lauryn Hill. But do we need another Lauryn Hill? Yes. But I need somebody better. Or I need Lauryn Hill to... can Lauryn Hill and Kanye West just get it together? Why you gotta bring up Lauryn? Sorry, I was
I love her so much.
triggered by that. What?
I love her so much.
I do love her. I do love her so
Yeah.
much. I just feel like she was now that I say that out loud, I feel like she's the Kanye West of women.
That's crazy.
Like, so good. And like, how did you fall off so bad?
Yeah. That's a take. You got to clip that.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. No disrespect, Lauren. I do love you, but I just wanted to sing with you that night. We couldn't. We didn't even know what songs they were.
I think that has to do with like not owning the masters, though. I think you have to have some variation in the way that you perform.
You could have
the
not
pieces.
completely changed the songs, though.
I mean, I don't know. I get it. I'd have been
Well, look at what Taylor did.
What?
She had to go re-record everything.
She recorded everything.
Taylor version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor version.
But okay.
Yeah.
Lauren, but I've been disrespected by Lauryn Hill for 25 years.
Yeah.
I saw her very early on with the
disagreement.
Fugees, and she was amazing, and she was right where she was supposed to be in the pocket. And I think there's something to be said for creative license. I think when you have an anniversary tour, you're
gotta
there
run it
to
back.
celebrate the original.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you control how you're late. If you remember at that fucking concert, she went on like a 27-minute rant about police, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. But I came to watch you sing. And I think that, and for a white person, that could sound racist in some ways, perhaps. But really, like, if I'm coming to see you tell poetry,
Yeah.
I want you to give me a full experience. And that could be selling your wares or talking about, whatever you want to talk about between, but I'm here to watch you do poetry. Don't do one poem
And then the
call
rest
that a
be,
poetry
yeah,
show.
I feel it.
You know what I'm saying? And she went on a rant about whatever, and she's known for that. That's not a one-off have a bad night. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the friend that you don't go out with anymore because you're like, bitch, you're always drunk all the time. Going out and like having to fucking hold your hair back once in a while is fine.
Yeah.
Go on and do you, girl. And tonight's your night to get it out. But no, I'm not doing this every night with you.
Yeah.
And that's how Lauryn Hill has been. She's consistently, in my opinion, disrespectful to her audiences. And that, to me, I think our audiences deserve better. Period. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe she should be able to do whatever she wants to do, but I think like I'm here to celebrate your music. And I don't even know what song this is until you get to the chorus.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. This one got long today. I'm like,
I know we went very long.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Well,
what do you have anything going on? This episode is coming out next week. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. So
Yes.
that the first week in September, the 30th of August, basically.
yeah. So we'll have just been coming off of like this Thursday. We have the All Bets on Us hot seat.
What's that?
And so local talent, we run it monthly. My homie Devon, they have a company called All Bets on Us. And over the past 3 months, we've been running out of Campfire Coffee.
Oh, yeah. Love that place.
But yeah, I mean, basically, like, there's a couple of artists that have been selected, and then there's some open mic space, and doing very similar things, just a spotlight on local talent. We're celebrating the 1-year anniversary this upcoming Thursday, which I think is August 24th, so
yeah.
post-taping, but that's going to take place at the Ruston Waterfront Market.
Cool.
So artists to come support would be really dope. But we run it every month. We'll keep running it every month. And it's a good blend of different forms of art, right? Some people come and do music, your rap, your R&B, it's folk singers, right? Whoever. But we get it in. And so that's coming up.
Do you know Moringa Mena?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's a long story, but I know he's been doing some hosting and some stuff like that. So I didn't know if that was the one. Okay.
No, I'd love to be
You would know
connected
him.
to him.
He's like 6'8". He's Nigerian, but he's born here. He just graduated college. He's one of the nicest kids I've ever met. He's like, I love this kid. And he does a bunch of hosting work. And I thought maybe that was it. But it's
No,
not.
be dope to meet him though. And whatever
He
he's
is
doing,
dope.
I'd love to come and see.
He would love to meet you, actually.
So we got that running. We just finished taping for a project called 10 of Us. Foster's Creative put it all together, but essentially Tacoma is like the world's biggest small town. And if you know 10 of us, basically you know all of us. So it's a bunch of artists from different disciplines.
It's funny you said that because when you named that, the group that does that open mic, I was like, oh, I don't know those people. And I feel like I know a lot of people in Tacoma, so that's ironic.
If we sift through, I guarantee you know at least one body in the room or one of the performers. But yeah, projects drop in. It'll be a coffee table book, like a
dope.
mini doc and a couple of other things, but it's been really fun recording that. So it's I think Coffee Table Book is October. Release of the project is December.
So
And so we'll have a live showing, which
keep
will
us
be
updated
cool.
with that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll promote you.
I'll send you all the notes. Just a lot of stuff going on, but I think those are the two major things that would make sense to folks in Tacoma who want to come out and hang out.
So, and where can people find you?
They can find me online, on Instagram. I'm at C Paige Speaks. On Facebook, I know it's old heads and young minds who still use Facebook. I'm just on there as Christian Paige. X or Twitter or whatever that is, C Paige Speaks. And then I just started a TikTok, so I feel like an old head. And I'm Poet Paige on TikTok. So
Poet Page.
Yeah.
Okay.
On TikTok. And I'll put all the links in the notes, of course. What do you have going up?
This will be
The 30th.
Yeah. I'm on at the Nate Jackson's Funniest Motherfucker, but that'll be last night when this posts. So
Oh, okay.
But you're on in the 12th.
I'm on the 12th, yeah. So I'm coming up.
You know, we're gonna do that contest and not move past the first round, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to do it. This will be my first year. I didn't do it last year. So.
Yeah, but then also, I think we talked about it again on the 9th of September. We're doing a competition at Coco Joe's.
Yeah, on the 9th of September, come out to Coco Joe's in Algona,
And
7 o'clock, and watch me beat the fuck out of Robert
that's crazy.
and everybody else,
man.
because I'm going to win that money.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So
we'll
it is my 1 year anniversary, and yesterday part of the thing they roasted the hell out of me, and
We did.
yeah, it was all right.
We did.
There was a couple good singers. There was a couple good ones.
That was funny. We had a good time, but I guess September 3rd. I can't even think.
We got Monica Hearn.
I have Melanie
Hearn.
Yeah, so this will all be over by the time you hear this,
Yeah.
but Melanie Hearn from Detroit, who I met when I was on the Detroit Women's Comedy Festival, she's coming out on the 23rd of September, and we're doing a whole run of shows. She's actually going home on the 30th of August. So did I say September? I meant August.
Yeah.
So this Wednesday coming, she's coming. We're doing we're going to Portland. We're doing Olympia. We're doing Seattle, all kinds of shit. So I'm probably going to be like sleeping for a while, figuring out, I'm going to start looking for jobs soon, like real jobs again. So I'm going to start working on that a little bit. I'm sure I have shows in September I can't even think
Yeah,
about.
just look at
I know I'm
audiences
hosting,
and,
I'm hosting Top Gun on the 20th of
that's
September
cool.
with Chase Meyer and a couple people, and Reese
dope.
Green. So that'll be cool. Just a bunch of stuff coming up.
We post a lot of our shows on our line. You know?
Yeah, like make sure you just follow our social
Yeah.
medias because we post so much stuff on our
Yeah.
social medias. And then we're going to be looking for new guests for this.
Yeah.
And then, so this will be episode 9, like I said. Next episode will be episode 10. So that's kind of cool to, a little milestone.
Yeah.
I don't think it seems like a lot, but Spotify is like, oh, you hit number 5. So I'm sure 10 will be,
And that one listener in Ireland. What's up, man?
That's awesome.
we don't know where you came from, but we love you. I think that's it. Shout out to Stay Hydrated and our producer Nook. We actually, we're taping video right now. We might switch to audio only for a while. I don't know, because it might, we might have an opportunity to save some money and switch to audio only. But I don't know. I think we should poll the audience and see what people think about that. I don't know how many people watch on YouTube versus listen.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the value in that. But I don't know. Comedy is always going, and that's life. So it was an honor to have you, sir.
Grateful to have been here.
I was glad to be here. You were actually, it's funny, you posted on your Facebook, like, I want to do podcasts and blah, 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 but you were already on my list of people to invite. Just because I, not that I only want people from Tacoma. I'm not from here. I don't really care. But since a lot of our stuff is based here, and I'm lucky enough to know a lot of really cool people, both inside and outside of comedy. So like our interaction years ago, whatever that was, we have Brandon Parker coming soon, who's BP Clothing. I don't know, like Love is Dope. That's the homie. He's going to be on here, and highlighting like local people who have something to bring to the community is always dope. So it was an honor.
Yeah. Yo, shout out to, and I know you know him, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a podcast episode, but shout out to Bo Blast.
Oh,
Shout out to Stay on 10, my friends. Yeah.
That's my mentor.
He's
Bo Blass is one of I have 3 people I consider my mentor, and Bo's actually the first one. He kind of took me under his wing, and he's like, yeah, Bo's really great to me. He's also like really hard on me sometimes. He's really very like, you're fucking up and here's why. But like Bo is fantastic. So yeah.
I would just love to listen to the 3 of y'all have a conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll invite him on here. Of course, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But Bo's a lot of energy. Like we have to be well rested for the Bo Blast episode.
Yes.
But yeah, Bo's my very first show ever. He was my first headliner, and he's got his little 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
Scooter, J Will, Jonte, whatever. And white old lady doesn't fit into the 4 horsemen model. But Bo loves me, and I love Bo so much. And he's always there. He's always there for me. So yeah, we should definitely talk about getting him on soon. But his whole story is pretty fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
He's one of those stories that came from the life and now is in a different space.
Absolutely. Yo, he's dope. I'm tuning in from Ireland when that one comes out. You'll have two.
Tune in for everywhere. But yeah, it was an honor to have you. And I can't wait to like continue to watch. And hopefully now that I've connected with you now, maybe we can work together more. Like I think you're great. And I've been watching, even though we don't know each other well. Like I see you. And the city of Tacoma is lucky to have you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
You're going to have a street named after you one day or some shit. So
we'll see.
You will. You will. You're a person who leaves a mark. And I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people who leave marks. So your city, I'm sure your city is proud of you. And if not, if they don't know you yet, they'll all listen to this podcast. So they'll know you soon.
That'll be it.
All 14 listeners we have. Thank you again. Anything else?
Go.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.
Till next time.